All right, we are live, although technically we are not live on the account that this is a private video at this point. Haven't decided if we're going to broadcast it. We'll see how it goes, and then if it goes splendidly well and I don't TPK you guys because of poor DMing prepping, then maybe it'll make it to the tube of you. This one shot is called the Cursed Isle of Phandora, and where we start this mystical adventure is on the coast of a small little alcove. This city you come upon is lit by a full moon. The skies are clear, the winds are calm, the tide has gently started to roll up upon this coastal city, just gently brushing along the docks. You see many ships anchored here of different sizes. It's very clear that this is a port town. Lots of ships coming and going, different sizes, frigates, schooners, floops of all different kinds of ships. Most of the city is dark. You don't see too many lights. You come upon one bright light kind of calling out to the sky, though, and as we enter this building, smoke kind of billowing from the chimney. It's a tavern, and there's a whole bunch of people in there, but it's rather awkwardly quiet. The room is centered on one man. Dark hair, kind of a shadowy figure. He has this dark grayish kind of stubble on his face, and he's telling a story while drinking a big pint of ale and smoking on some kind of pipe. He basically calls the attention of the room and is going story over story, people just eating this up. He has the control of the entire room. He tells you all a story, one in particular, a dark story of a cursed island. This island constantly berated by vicious storms, hurricane winds, and the worst weather any sailor could ever imagine. This island is apparently impenetrable. No man has ever made it there and back alive. He tells you this island's name is Phandora, and that you'd be a fool to sail there. But if a fool were to sail there, there's always a reward for a risk. There's said to be a bell that you can hear faintly ringing as you go along this, as you head out to this island in this storm. This bell, apparently enormous by basically the tone that you hear. Any bell that can produce an echo across the sea must be massive for the noise that it makes. It's a magical bell, apparently said to give a wish of any man or woman anything they want, if you can make it there and back alive, that is. Luckily for you, though, every couple of centuries, kind of weather phenomenon happens. It's called the Mother's Tide in this land, in the Sunken Isles, the city is called. And the Mother's Tide, basically, for a couple of days at most, the sea dies right down. The weather becomes beautiful, calm. And it just so happens that this night is the start of the Mother's Tide. The man ends the story with a line that no one will ever find out regardless. You'd be a fool to sail there. And abruptly, after the story ends, another man stands up. He says to the entire room, "I would very much like to see this island you speak of, stranger. Could you point me in the directions, perhaps pointed out on a map? My name is Nolan, and I am a great explorer. If you haven't heard of me, be sure to remember my name, because I'm sure you will." And then after the man in the bar kind of laugh at him, he says, "I am quite serious. And anybody who would like to join this expedition, I will pay 1,000 gold up front. And you know, these cursed islands, they often have very sacred treasures. If you do compliment me on this trip, anything you can carry is yours. If it can fit on the ship, the wealth is yours. Do we have any takers?" And the first person to stand up is
Randuin.
And what does Randuin look like?
Randuin is a very powerful, barrel-chested dwarf warrior. He's clad in this heavy-looking plate armor, so he carries this very strange, magnificent maul. If you didn't take a quick, close inspection of it, you would be very surprised. Whereas you might expect a maul, this is in fact almost like a long hair that's just immense and massive. You don't understand why it looks like that, but you imagine that this crazed-looking dwarf who mumbles to himself often will soon tell you about it, and soon you'll wish to forget. He's just this unkempt-looking warrior who is a bit strange. And when he stands up, he says, "Oh, yes, I'll have it settled immediately. What do you need?"
Ah, first volunteer. How great. Meet me at the dock at dawn, and we'll set sail. Any other volunteers on this great exploration? I promise it'll be good fun. And who is the next person to stand up? Go ahead and describe your character.
He's a relatively average-looking guy wearing nondescript leather pants and shirt. He's got an empty scabbard at his hip, and he stands up and says, "For 1,000 gold pieces, it's not much I wouldn't do. I'll join you."
Excellent. Welcome to the crew then, Damokos. Anybody else? Any other volunteers?
And I feel like at this point, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there we go. At this point, I feel like he would sense a presence behind him. And as he turns around and looks up, it would be surprising because this massive figure would be standing behind him. Very dark skin, these kind of intelligent, stern-looking eyes looking down. And as I'm staring down at this man, I say, "I will join you. This thing that you wish to do, I will come. But not for the reasons you think. Treasure means nothing to me, though I will take your gold. But I seek something more than treasure." And I kind of nod to him, clap him on the shoulder without a word, walk out of the door.
He turns around and looks at you. Says, "Oh, yes. Treasure is not everything. I agree, my friend. Treasure is probably the least of my concerns. But nonetheless, your reasons are your own. I am just happy to have you. I'll see you in dawn." And a couple other people start to stand up at this point and offer their services. It seems like other, like basically ship kind of lackeys, people to run the ship. Obviously, not maybe all of you are necessarily good at that part of it. So we have a couple of people who basically sign up to look after the ship. And then finally, last but not least, who is the last person that we see standing up from our group? You are on mute if you're trying to speak.
Yes. She's actually been standing the whole time. However, her 5-foot stature and small demeanor is very, and the way that she's dressed is very easy to overlook her. She would look like a wandering street child, just like a person, a woman who would exist on the streets, not a prostitute or anything like that, but just a commonly person that just looks like they've been to the bar just after a long travel. And she will bow slightly and says, "I will travel with you." And with a smile.
Perfect. And being so young, actually, or looking so young, maybe not actually young, but being so young, a kind of drunkard yells out, "The sea's no place for a child. You'll be swept away." And Nolan quiets him. He goes over to the table. He looks down at him. "My friend, do not be fooled by looks. Age is not an example of intelligence, and it's quite apparent sometimes when older people speak that age is by no means relevant to skill." And then the man just kind of bows down and he looks at you. "What is your name?"
"My name is Annette." And she...
"Well, Annette," he reaches in his pouch and grabs out 1,000 gold. "I'd be more than happy to have you on my ship. Welcome to the crew, and I'll see you at dawn. Be there sharp for sunrise, all of you. Anybody who wishes to, have a drink on me." Looks to the bartender and throws a huge coin of purse that just flow over onto the bar and start dropping onto the ground. "But be sure to not have too many. I am a very prompt man. I do not like looseness and punctuality. I will see you all in the morning." And then he retreats to his room. The room kind of, as he leaves, at that point explodes into conversation. People are just asking, like, who the hell this person is. Has anyone heard of a Nolan? And no one has seemed to, but this guy was just dropping money like it was going out of style. He was making it rain in that tavern. So obviously he has some kind of coin to his name. Nonetheless, no one seems to hear of this Nolan or who he is, even though he claims to be a great explorer. what are you guys all doing? Are you partaking in the drinks? The bar at this point just goes nuts, and people start lining up to get their free drinks. Couple are like triple fisting and quadruple fisting beers, trying to get as many as they can. What are you
Barkeep,
doing?
make him regret his generosity.
And then with that, he'll pour you a tall pint and slide it across the bar to you. A couple hands try to grab it, but it goes with such force and speed that it just fits perfectly into your palm.
As I
Kind
catch
of
it,
crossing over.
And as I catch it, I stare at all these foolish humans, these tiny-minded fools, and you just see him take a giant chug, and he just slams it on the counter as hard as he can. He just stares at them and he says, "If any of you touch my drink, I will destroy you and wear your bones as a mask."
Some kind of lanky human walks up to you and pats you on the shoulder and says, "Relax, my friend. That you see the gold? There's enough for all of us. You don't need to be so uptight."
There's enough gold, but I don't think there's enough brew.
And then he says, "Oh no, the Sunken Tavern can feed a fleet with their food and drink 1,000 men easily."
I'll hold you to that standard.
"Relax, my friend. We're all friends here. Don't
You're
worry.
not my
We'll keep your
friend.
belly full."
You're not my buddy, pal.
He just looks at you. He's just like,
My only friend is Rupert.
"Well, hopefully you and Rupert have a good night then. We don't
I have a
need..."
great night with Rupert every night. He watches me when I sleep.
This
He's always at my side. He has never abandoned me ever.
The man is stumbling at this point, and he's just like, "Well, to each their own then, sir. Have a good night." And he just like walks away from you, clearly like uncomfortable by your presence. Anybody else doing anything?
Great. Annette is going to be. She's going to spend her night by the water until it starts getting to the time to go to bed, and then she'll do that.
Perfect. And as you head out to the docks, the moon is so full and bright that it almost literally lights the night. The sky is clear. Millions of stars paint it. The tide, you do notice, is very gentle and calm. There's almost no air in the sky, and you just are able to sit and kind of kick your legs in the water, and it's a very peaceful and serene night. You hear the music and laughter and boisterous shouts of men and women back at the dock, but where you are, it's quite peaceful.
And
Nice.
interestingly enough, as you head out to the dock also, you would just see sitting cross-legged in the water meditating Masatse. He would just be kind of sitting there quietly, not necessarily looking anywhere, but kind of in a meditative trance, sitting halfway in the salt water and halfway out. Just sitting there quietly, staring out into the coast, into the tide.
Nice. I will do something. I just have to find what the spell is.
Firebolt.
Fire, no, it's something electric. He's in water. No, I'm gonna kill him and take his loot. Loot. Spell. Okay, I'm gonna spend one sorcery point tonight because I'm gonna be going to bed anyways, and using it to use. And she's gonna be casting water walk, and she's gonna walk over the water. It's like jump off the dock and run across the waves, or the gentle waves, almost as if they're solid water or solid mass.
Gentle little splooshes kind of follow under your foot as you walk right up to this strange, dark-skinned, tall man who's meditating in the water.
She'll lean in and she'll right into his ear.
And Masatse doesn't move. You do this into his ear, and he says, "Intriguing custom."
She giggles. She sits down, looking at him. "What are you doing?"
And he says, in my island, these things are not things to be avoided. The water around you and the wind above." He says, "I am attuning myself once more to my surroundings, remembering why I'm here."
She flops back on the water as if it was just ground. She kind of looks up at the sky. "So, you forget where you are normally. She just looks away almost passively.
And he says, I do not forget where I am, but I seek only to continue on the path which I am following. It is a reminder of my purpose.
Oh. She kind of sits up and looks back at him like so of her as if they weren't really connected to her at all. She stands up and she'll start running around and dancing on the water as if she's just having a good time.
And last but not least is Damokos doing anything. Still at the tavern, you would see that the night has got quite loud at this point. Many drunks are dancing around the bar. Laughter is boisterous and loud. The music is blaring at this point. Some bard is just rocking out on a lute, using prestidigitation to just make it super loud. You see a grumpy old dwarf just kind of like pushing away anyone that tries and comes to talk to him. Sorry, what is Damokos doing?
He's just sitting in a dark, sort of less populated corner. He got the free drink that was offered, but if an observant eye would notice, while he never quite seems to tilt it as if he's not drinking. He's just observing everything that's going on. He's paying in particular to attention to the people who volunteer on, and makes note of Masatse and that's departure, and more or less it's just studying the dwarf for about an hour or so, letting him get a head start before sidling up next to him. And his basic get up. What weapons is he carrying? You said a maul. Anything else?
That's on to you, Joseph, and you're muted.
I'm sorry, say it again.
He was just eyeballing you, checking out your weapons, seeing what you were carrying. You had mentioned a maul. Was there anything else?
He's wearing this full plate. He has just numerous hand axes kind of strapped around his waist, almost like a belt of hand axes. And then his maul is just this heavy, long, strange object that looks almost like the hair or whisker of a creature. It's very unusual. It's the heaviest looking maul you've ever seen. It's like illogically sized.
You have Buster sort of mauls.
You'll understand as soon as it gets around there.
So he'll come up beside you and set down his still full mug and say, in a very harsh, accented language that doesn't appear that you would recognize, and says, "This cursed island." I don't do accents very well, so apologize if I don't actually do it. It's a very harsh and guttural accent for whatever his native language happens to be.
All right, I have to ask: Are you a sailor or a bar wench? And he looks over to their other party member. Actually, they're not even here.
I am neither a sailor nor a bar wench, merely a companion with you on this journey to the island.
It's unusual having companions other than Rupert's.
Yes, I tend to work alone myself as well.
Never alone. Rupert is always with me.
Rupert. And I'll kind of look around because I'm pretty perceptive and say, who's Rupert? I see no Ruperts here.
Rupert's.
Scaring off most of the other customers.
They're wise to be scared. You have not heard of Rupert. He is a being of such immense power that even the gods fear him. You know what this is? I am holding in my hand as he lifts his maul.
Looks like one hell of a blacksmith hammer to me. What is that?
Blacksmith hammer. You are a foolish man. This is but a whisker of Willie Rupert himself. It is a gift he has bequeathed upon me. a symbol of his power. A creature as large in his immenseness, overwhelmingly strong as him, gives his followers but the tiniest fractions of his power, and they will wield them as weapons of righteousness.
Interesting.
Yes.
Rupert sounds like somebody I would like to get to know sometime,
Yes.
perhaps.
Perhaps I could tell you the great words of Wooly Rupert. He is an interesting patron, to say the least. He is known as the Tyrannohamstersaurus Rex of great ill omen.
The Tyrannohamstersaurus. I haven't heard of one of
How
those
dare
before.
you? How dare you laugh at his name? I've killed for far less. I demand an apology. Nobody
Just
speaks ill of Wooly Rupert.
no insult was intended, my friend dwarf. I've just never heard of such a creature, and the imagery conjured in my mind was rather humorous. I apologize to you, and I'll kind of nod slight bow.
You're a strange man if you find the image of death incarnate funny, but I admire your gall. But I digress.
With that, I'll nod to the barkeep and say, "Get my dwarf companion here another one of those large pints."
Another one slides across the bar pretty much as soon as you finish the sentence. Poof, right in his hand.
Yes. More, yes. But I digress. I believe we should finish our next 5 drinks and then go to bed.
And I'll just lift my mug and sort of tap with you, and again bring it to my lips, but I don't actually drink anything of it.
Perfect. And with that, the night goes on for however long you guys intend it to. But nonetheless, you eventually make your way to your quarters. You rest for the night. The dawn comes probably earlier than expected for most. Anyone joining in the festivities probably feeling a little under the weather for waking up at such an hour. But nonetheless, you guys make your way to the dock. The sun is just brimming over the horizon, lighting up the sky. It seems like another beautiful day. The water is completely still. There's a nice summer air to the surroundings. It's warm, not too humid. Nolan is standing there at the docks. He's standing in front of a rather nicely adorned frigate, sorry. And he is just basically what it seems like doing some handshakes and introductions to all of the crew that has shown up. You all basically show up there around the same time. As you walk by, he actually, incidentally enough, remembers each of your names as you walk past him. Handshaking. Masatse, good that you made it. Annette, nice to see you. Damakos, welcome aboard. And then Randuin, sorry?
There's Randuin, Savage Hammer.
Yes, welcome, sir. I apologize. I'm normally quite good with names, but...
What is your name?
My name is Nolan.
It is nice to meet you, Noland.
It is nice to meet you too, good sir. Welcome aboard. Make yourself at home. We'll be here for the next couple of days. That everyone hops on the ship. Is there anything else you guys like to do before you head out?
Masatse climbs the crow nest, and he sits up at the very top of the ship.
All right. A very nice view indeed as you watch the sun rise and start to show the rest of the city. It's quite a nice town that you're in. These kind of tropical trees start to cover the surrounding city and whatnot. You look up and the breeze in your face is quite refreshing.
Yeah, and if anyone watched him climb it, he actually straight up walks up the pole. Like he doesn't climb anything, he just walks straight up.
Nice.
My character watches in bewilderment.
I wonder who his patron is.
And with that, you set sail. The masts or the sails are dropped, and you hit to the water. The anchors are rose up, and the crew starts to work together. And it seems like Nolan's actually got a fairly decent crew. For whatever reason, you look back and you see that quite a few people have been turned down, and you didn't necessarily realize it when you were walking through, but half of the people that he actually accepted have been turned down. And it seems like as you look around that pretty much only the people who are in tip-top shape are actually on this ship at this point, and you, without even knowing it, have been selected and I guess deemed worthy enough to be on this ship. As you look back, there's about 20 men and women sitting there, kind of shoulders hunked over. You see them looking at their coin purses. Nonetheless, it seems like he didn't take this 1,000 gold back. He easily could have dropped multiple thousands, 10,000, 20,000s of gold on just getting these people to show up. Nonetheless, you hit to the sea. As you slowly see the city fade in the horizon and open up to the great blue sea, you encounter your first problem. You notice that you're moving very slowly. And as the ship's sails kind of blow in the air, you notice that there's almost no wind whatsoever pushing the ship, and you're moving at a turtle's pace. Nolan walks up and looks at the sails, kind of in a befuddlement, and he says, "Well, this clearly, this will not do. We don't have very much time. This is quite a problem indeed."
May I help? Annette will stand.
Absolutely. How do you seek to do so, child?
She'll like bow her head, and you'll hear like a dual voice. You'll hear her tiny voice echoed by a very deep male voice. Perhaps the winds will beckon to my call. And she'll lift up her hand and forward, and I will cast a 5th level spell, Control Winds. And the sails will like push forward and then like gush forward. Like the winds will just blow over them and just push the ship rocketing forward.
Absolutely. And as you do that, the whole entire crew is almost caught off guard. Even Nolan himself grabs onto the mast, and the ship just bursts forth like a vehicle of some kind, taking off with great speed. The ship is now sailing at a pretty impressive pace for even a gusty day. The wind is just blowing into the sails with tremendous force. It seems like even the mast itself are kind of like wincing at the force of this wind, but nonetheless the ship is made well, almost in new shape, and you guys are now just sailing across the sea at tremendous speed. He looks to you, Annette, and says, that is quite impressive. What a feat you have just accomplished. But that voice, a little peculiar. Is that something that what is that all about?
She looks back. It's a friend, she says with the dual voice. When you look at her, you see that the white of her eyes are actually black, and the colored parts are actually blistering white and kind of glowing a bit. And her hair has actually started flicking around a little bit like flame.
Who's our friend? Is his name Rupert as well?
She looks back and chuckles. No.
I see that you're not blessed with strong friends.
She just like, she actually levels her gaze with you. She's like, we will see.
Yes.
You know what I say, Randuin? He looks to you. Any true friend is a strong friend.
Yes, my friend has never abandoned me once in my life. Rupert has been at my side since the day I met him.
Mid-sentence, the ship will actually will like slow down and then jolt forward to kind of like throw off your everybody's standing to kind of mess up when you're talking.
Rupert, I sense a foul presence in this woman. If you wish, I will slay her in your name.
No, I'm sure there'll be lots of people to slay, but no one on this ship will be slayed, Randuin, my good friend.
If that's what you want, Rupert, I understand.
Yes, indeed. Rupert is very wise to give you such noble guidance.
Yes. He says that our enemies have far more blood than she does.
Nonetheless, he shrugs his shoulders and says, well, everyone be prepared because we're in for some rough weather. And just kind of walks away nonchalantly. And as you look around, the sky is crystal blue, clear, not a cloud in sight. The only wind is this unnatural wind caused by magic, and as you look in any direction, you cannot see any signs of clouds. It seems kind of odd that he would say that bad weather is coming. Besides sitting in the crow's nest, what is everybody else doing on the ship?
Damokos goes to his pack and pulls out a handkerchief, a handful of tea herbs, and he walks up to Annette and says, "In your eye and a frog in your throat. These herbs can brew a soothing, help your voice out a little." He has kind of like a half wry smile on his face, and he's not much taller than she is.
She will. You can see she's putting some effort into this spell. It's definitely taking a toll on her. I can do it for an hour at a time before I have to recast it. But she'll just. The pain is growth. This is good. Thank you, though.
When she says the pain, he reaches back into his pack and pulls out some other type of herb and says, "Here, let me brew it for you," and heads down to the galley to water.
Or Nolan actually follows you, seeing that you pull some herbs, Damokos, and he comes up to you and says, "A fellow member or a fellow person who studies plant life, I see. Do you know much about herbs?" And
When I was young, I was taught to some herbal teas of sorts.
Fair enough. It's actually a very good skill to have. Some would say that even some herbs are more powerful than magic themselves. To be honest with you, half of the reason I travel is just to see exotic plant life. It fascinates me, the things that you can find on islands that most men have never stepped foot on. The things that I have found in the plant life that I have acquired has allowed me to do quite a few amazing things. And it's part of the joy of exploring these islands that have never been discovered before. And he says, I respect a man that knows how to bring out the natural properties of Mother's Earth.
I'm sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
I thought she was.
Gotcha. Then he leaves. Basically, a couple hours pass by, and you guys are making a crazy pace at this time. It seems like the man who is at the wheel of the ship is even having trouble kind of steering the ship because the wind is blowing so aggressively. Nonetheless, the guy who is steering the ship calls out and says, "Nolan, we should be at the destination that strange man said any moment now, but I don't see anything." Nolan looks up to you, Masatse. "Do you see anything up there? It should be quite noticeable, I think."
Well, what does Masatse see?
Give me a perception.
Okay. That is a 23.
23 is quite perceptive. As you scan the horizon, looking over at the port and starboard, and basically the stern, looking every which way, you don't necessarily notice something. And then around the starboard bow side, so the front right of the ship, you do notice that in the distance, it seems to be a little black dot kind of in the horizon.
Okay. I look over the edge and I say down, "I see this thing that you speak of." And he whispers to himself, and I hear it calling.
He puts his hand to his eye just to kind of block out the sun and says, "Oh, yes, I see it now too that you pointed out." He calls out to the crew, "We should be arriving momentarily. Everyone should probably get ready. I think we're in for an interesting ride."
How tall is this mast, by the way?
We'll say a good 30 feet sounds about right to me.
Masase jumps off the top, falling towards the ground, plummeting very quickly. And right before he hits, the air catches him like a cushion, and just like there's this explosion of air around him that pushes people kind of back like 5 feet. And he lands on the ground and kind of just stands quietly, turns around, and walks towards the prow of the ship.
Nice. And as you do that, most of the people kind of caught off guard by it are actually like almost lose their footing and fall. Some of them actually do fall. But you notice that Nolan stands strong. And it's kind of probably impressive to you because this man looks pretty unimpressive in stature. He has these thick rimmed glasses and is kind of a he wears a lot of heavy, thick clothing that covers most of his figure, but you presume that he's a lanky person. He has a completely shaved head except for the top where he has this like neatly tucked bun that almost kind of looks like an onion or some kind of bloom on the top of his head. It's a really strange haircut. And he's dressed in these like leather kind of cloaks and stuff. And as you land, everybody else kind of falls, and he just stands there strong and kind of tilts his head up to you and says, nods his head, says,
I just nod back at him. This man at least seems to be slightly in tune with one of the ways of the earth, which is the wind. So he seems to understand the speech of the wind. So I nod to him, and there's almost a kind of like a twinkle in my eye as I see that, you know, hope isn't lost for the mainlanders. And I turn around and walk to the prow.
Perfect. And as we start to get closer and closer, the island starts to become a little more apparent. You're a good maybe 1,000, 2,000 feet away. He comes up to you, Annette, and says, if it wouldn't be too much of a bother, could we maybe tone that down a bit now? I don't think we should come up too fast on this place.
She drops her hand, and the ship just like does the whole like where all of a sudden it's getting momentum, and then all of a sudden it just like comes to like the natural winds.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of like drops her hands to her knees, and she's panting. Eyes around her.
Perfect. And he nods and says, "Thank you again. Quite impressive, and again quite helpful. I don't think if we didn't have a speed like that we would have as much time. The man said that the Mother's Tide will probably last no more than another day, so time is kind of the essence here, and I appreciate that you were able to make that a little more efficient. And Annette can have inspiration for getting everyone here nice and fast. Everybody, as we start to get really close, the skies instantly start turning from crystal blue, to a dark gray. The clouds almost materialize, it seems, above you. The weather in an instant starts to change, and as you look towards this horizon where this island is, the weather, the sea starts to get a little more aggressive. The waves start to frap against the side of the boat at this point, water splashing up occasionally. Everyone give me a perception check really quick.
$14.
16.
29.
16.
29, impressive. Damokos perceives the shit out of this, and apparently so does Nolan. As you look to the port side, kind of a little bit in front of you, but obviously off farther to the left in the opposite direction that you guys came from, you both notice a few 100 feet away, another ship has appeared. Nolan kind of has his hands to his chin, and he looks and says, apparently someone must have been waiting for us. Maybe someone to greet us. I doubt that. What do you think, Damokos, as he realizes that you've seen it too?
Looking at the ship, does it look like it's heading towards us or heading towards the island?
Heading towards you at a pretty rapid pace, and with your 29, you see better than him that it is adorning a black flag.
Looks like we have or some sort of high sea banditry, and they're headed right for us. Not that.
Yes, I had my suspicions.
We take some sort of
I love
evasive
bandits.
maneuvers.
Absolutely. I had my suspicions when I gave my whole spiel last night. I noticed that a couple of shadier men slipped out from the bar ahead of us. I watched to see what they did, and a bunch of them jumped on a ship and left. I wondered what they were doing, but perhaps this is what they are, taking what they think is an opportunity of weakness. Let's not let them get the upper hand on us. I agree. And then he would look to Annette and ask if you could maybe pick up the wind a bit more, or if you've lost the ability to do that now? She's like, I'm sorry to be such a trouble.
She shakes her head. It is no problem. She looks back. Her eyes are now like a dim, smoldering ember. Flare again, and she just looks up with a smile. Her hair dropped around her like she just been like wind blasted. Flickers up like she's on fire again. And she pushes her hand forward, and the creaks again with earnest.
And the ship lurches forward again, and as you start picking up in tremendous speed, it becomes very apparent that with the water being more dangerous at this point, this speed is a lot harder, and the ship is actually at times like jumping and skipping across the water. He says, whoa, maybe a little less if you could. Is that possible? I know I'm kind of being picky right now, but just this.
She lost, and she says, 1,000 gold gets me for as long as you need me, and she'll make a fist and pull it back, and the window will slow down.
Yes,
so they stop.
yes, that's perfect. Thank you. You are incredibly helpful.
How far away is the other ship?
It is about less than 400 feet at this point, and even though Annette is pushing the ship much faster, it is coming at an angle on you that you presume that it will probably at least cross paths with you.
Are we like racing against it to get to the island first, basically?
It seems like it's coming for you guys.
It's coming for us. Okay, tell me once we get within 120 feet.
All right. What is Annette doing, sorry?
Annette's gonna... ship, we can stop and let them cross ahead of us, and we can have the advantage on them.
Not a bad idea.
She'll pull her shooter elbow back, and the wind will literally stop and like the mast off by doing this. But the wind's gonna gush against the ship to try to stop it from moving.
Yeah, and the ship very unnaturally comes to a stop, and you hear the stress of the masts, all three masts, kind of almost start to bend and screech as this abrupt stop happens, and the wind actually, as it changes direction instantly, starts to pull the ship back, and at this point the other opposing ship has hit 120 feet.
So how big are these waves coming up, by the way?
Right now they're not too bad, but you notice that as you look out into the horizon that they are getting much worse very quickly.
Okay.
The sky is starting to get darker and darker as it seems like almost the day has been cut short and evening is starting to arrive, although you know that can't be true. It's just a clear sign of how bad this weather is going to get.
So how close are we to them again now?
They're about 120 now.
Okay.
And you see that Annette has stopped you guys completely.
I look at Annette and I ask, these winds, how fast can they push?
Very. She looks over to him.
I nod and say, when I give this signal, you will know what to do. And I stand at the edge of the boat, and I'm waiting for a large wave to come up.
Okay.
So a large wave comes up, and you see him close his eyes, and he raises a hand towards it. He starts speaking this strange language, and he moves his hand and makes a symbol in the air, and he puts his hand through it, and the top of the wave freezes into a 30-foot wide cube of ice. And I slowly look back at Annette and I nod, now. Basically make a makeshift like catapult of sorts to push the chunk of ice at the boat.
She'll look at the wind and she'll push her hand forward, and the wind will, you see the like push into the water, and waves will splash up as it starts pushing the ice.
Nice. And give me a quick Arcana to see how precisely you launch this into the ship.
Nope.
Shouldn't be that hard for you.
Yeah, no.
It's only hard until you roll it.
19 total.
19. Where are you looking to hit the ship?
I'm actually looking to hit the ship's rudder.
Absolutely. And the ice block that is summoned by Masatse launches off with a tremendous force. This wind blows it like a ginormous cannonball of ice into the rudder of the ship, absolutely obliterating the back end of it. You see as the ice cube hits the side of the ship that it sends a shockwave through, knocking several men off the kind of masts and crow's nests that are just perched away, looking out at you guys. You see a couple fall off into the water, screams followed by, you hear a man shout, "To arms!" And then you look over and see that the ship have all of these swords ready and stuff, and you notice that they bottom end of each of the starboard start flipping open these little flaps and cannons pushed out. Everybody, go ahead.
With another action, as I see them start flipping open, if I can, if you'll allow me,
go ahead.
I would like to freeze lots of them shut along the side. I assume there's rainwater, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to freeze as many as I can along the side of it shut that I can by a 10x2 line.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think. Give me a D8.
A D8?
Yeah.
8. No lies.
Oh god. It seems that as they try to do this, every single one but one cannon is able to be released. The others, you see, they kind of volting and prying of these men trying to shove the cannons through the flaps, but they're just frozen solid. It's going to take them quite a while to push those through, but you do manage to see one cannon get through. We'll roll initiative really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
17.
17 for Masatse. Anyone else just call out?
11.
Randuin is 17.
22 for Damakos.
11 for Annette, and I missed Damako, sorry.
You got a 22.
22? Very nice. It's in the chat. All right, cool. Give me a couple seconds here. I'm just going to quickly add in our friendly neighborhood pirates to the mix. And up first is definitely Damakos.
How far is this ship? It was 120 when they started.
120, and it's moving quickly, probably around 80 or less at this point. It looks like by next round it'll absolutely be within boarding territory.
Damakos will pull the hood up off of his cloak and cover his head with it and grab a sort of a inside of it and goes over his mouth and will hold his action until it's within 60 feet.
Absolutely. Randuin, you're up.
I pity these fools. Wooly Rupert, grant me your power so that I may show them your amazing offering. And as he says this, how many of these individuals are on the edge of the ship about to try to hop on?
You can at least count 13.
All right, Willie Rupert. And I imagine their boat's is not longer than 60 feet, right?
You would imagine correctly.
All right, Willie Rupert, I demand your power. Let us defeat this fight instantly. And as he says this, you would see from the sky itself, you would see almost like fur would fall onto the deck of the ship, and instantly it would vibrate so fast that you would see the entire ship erupt into flames. A gigantic wall of fire appearing, covering the entire edge of their boats as he casts Wall of Fire.
Nice.
The entire side that they want to jump from is now engulfed in flames. And obviously, if they wish to jump through it, they take fire damage. Those that were standing on the edge also take the fire damage.
All right, so no save. You just roll it up.
Well, they get a save, of course. Okay. I believe it is a dexterity saving throw.
Sounds about right to me.
Yep.
And go ahead and roll the damage while I give a couple dex saves here.
The DC is 15.
DC is 15. It seems like as you cast this wall of flame, not too many of the men make it.
18 fire damage.
Nice. You actually see quite a few of them just instantly either obliterated or caught on flame and thrown overboard. It seems like you have, at least with that spell alone, taken out half of these men. They were very unprepared for the force that they just faced.
And as they begin to die, you see Randuin's body kind of darken as he kind of enlarges in power as he sucks in the life essence of those he has defeated. Yes, yes, more and more of your blood and your soul. Yes, Ruperts, I feed them all to you, yes.
Nice.
And you're not quite sure what's going on, but it doesn't seem good.
As Randuin lights this other ship on fire, you hear the screams and burning flesh of men. Masatse, what do you wish to do?
Do any of them look like they're going to gather up the courage to even try and jump at this point?
Give me a quick perception.
14.
14, it was a very devastating blow, and at this point, most are running away from the fire. Others that are on fire are jumping off, and it is an absolute shit show on deck. But you do manage to catch a couple of archers standing on the other side, readying arrows, and what they're actually doing, you notice, is taking the opportunity to wrap cloth around their arrows, and they're running up and using Randuin's fire and lighting these arrows, and it looks like next turn they're actually going to do something about that.
They're wrapping those arrows in cloth, and so they're gonna try and like put it in the flames, right?
Yeah, that's what they're currently doing. And the ship is actually pretty packed with crew members. He took out about half, but there's still at least 13 men left, maybe more, and you don't know how many are under deck.
Well, with my turn, you said people are like jumping off.
Those that are on fire are caught off guard by the blow of fire or the firewall. Many are jumped off into the water trying to put out the fire.
Those people will probably die. They're going to drown, right?
Yeah, you would assume so. The water is getting immensely rough now. And as you stop to think about this, a wave actually crashes over the front of the ship and splashes on all of you. You look out, and the sky is absolutely windy at this point.
As a kind of a pittance for the people in the water, I kind of look down at them and just shake my head, just thinking about like the wasteful loss of life. And I kind of close my eyes again. You see a puff of cool air come out of my mouth, and I wave my hand. I create a 10x2 floating chunk, like pillar in the water that they can grab onto that'll float.
Absolutely. You see several men start to swim to it, and as they all start to hoard on this, they actually, like savages, start to fight off. A couple of them like grab onto it, and any others try to get on just like savages, and definitely not brothers in arms. They're like pushing them away. Another comes up and he jabs a dagger right through his throat. He says, "This is mine. Get out of here, you bastard."
I just shake my head just at like how pitiful and ridiculous this is, that like they could all survive if they wanted to, yet one of them has to be in charge.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's my turn. But regardless, I'll step in front of the they're going to start shooting arrows across. So I kind of look at our caster who's controlling this wind right now, and I step in front of her and ready myself.
Nice. The bandits are up now, and a volley of arrows light to the sky. You count at least 13 shots. Everyone give me a quick dex save.
They should have a disadvantage if they're shooting arrows into the wind, because the wind is still blowing at them, and it's a 300-foot cube.
Yep, absolutely.
So
I'll factor that in. In that case, take advantage at your dex save, everybody.
Okay, well, I mean, I can make a dex save if you want me to, but can I instead use my reaction to just catch one of the arrows?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I'll just snag one out of the air that maybe was going to hit us.
Okay.
I score a 17.
17 is more than enough to dodge it. You only need a 13.
Holy shoot! Wow.
I
stomped that.
It has caught on to their shenanigans.
So we got a 17 from Randuin. Masatse is going to catch one. What is Damakos roll?
17.
Nice. And Annette?
21.
All right. So you all easily dodge these arrows. The men's attack is not calculating the wind whatsoever, and a bunch of the arrows are just completely blown aside, and those that do make it do not hit you whatsoever, but you do notice that a couple stray land into the sails of the ship and pierce through. You notice that the fire starts to slowly burn away at these massive sails. They're wet, so they're not going to engulf in flame that easily, but if they keep peppering these shots, it might become an issue. Nolan cries out, "Don't let them damage the ship. We need it to get through this next part." And then really quickly, a couple of bandits are going to try to smash open those ports that Tai or Masatse froze, and they do not do so, but the one cannon does fire into the ship and hits the blanket out port side. Next up is Annette, actually. And even though you guys are absolutely slaughtering these men, and they're definitely uncoordinated, as you look forward, the weather is getting very nasty very quick, and you notice that you don't really want any damage done to the ship if you can avoid it. So you want to either finish this off quickly or get the hell out of here.
Net will look up at the sails and she'll look to Nolan. Do you wish us to move?
Well, it would probably be easier. It seems like their ship's pretty messed up by our good friend Randuin over there. Quite a display, my good friend. He calls out.
She actually will look at how are the sails on their ship positioned. Sorry to cut you off.
They're positioned like pointing at you guys. So, or sorry, like the wind base, their port, or not port. Sorry, I'm blanking out on the ship's names. Their bow is pointed right at yous. So the front of the ship.
So the wall of fire, 60 feet long, about 20 feet wide, by 20 feet high.
Nice. So that pretty much, their sail is also on fire then, definitely. Their ship doesn't look like it's going to be doing too much sailing.
A wall of fire is basically the size of the boat almost.
Yeah. So yeah, you could probably estimate that you would easily get out of here if you were just to turn the wind on again. You notice that doing so at a strong kind of gust would perhaps be dangerous. With the weather getting worse, the waves are starting to easily get about 20 feet high now, as you clearly feel yourself sailing up and down, swooping in and out of these giant waves. But you definitely don't think that this ship is going to be able to keep up with you in its current state. It's probably going to sink relatively soon.
Okay, she'll turn towards and she'll like build the wind up. She'll like redirect the wind and build it up. Instead of like blasting it, she's going to build it up into the sails so the ship picks up space until no one's like, okay, this is fast enough. Tell me when, and she'll just start pushing force into it.
And you just sail, and as you're doing so, you're basically coming up one of these waves, and you shoot off into the sky and actually jump over a couple. The ship kind of jumping through about 20 feet into the air and then landing back down. Everyone kind of grabs on in the heat of the battle. You look back to the ship, and as the pirate ship, and as you do so, you notice that their sail has caught so much on fire that it's actually broken off now, and the flaming sail and mast come down on several more men, and it seems like altogether they have lost the top side of their deck, and most of them are either jumping off to the treacherous water or retreating down low. You see a couple buckets of water being thrown to no avail. These men probably aren't going to be doing too well in a couple rounds, and you guys are basically at this point pretty easily out of battle. But next up is Damakos, if you want to do anything with the ship. They are still about maybe 100 feet.
Yeah, no, I'm more of a close range guy, so I'll just move to. You said it's getting cloudy and stormy. Would you say it's dim?
Not quite dim yet, but getting around that territory for sure.
All right, then yeah, he'll actually take his mask back off and just sort of sit and watch everybody else handling everything. Pull out his knife and like trim his fingernails.
All right.
Hold his action
and really
for anything to come.
Really
within
quickly,
60.
does anybody else want to do anything with the ship before we move on? Because it no longer has any way to chase after you guys. I'll go in order. Does Randuin want to do anything?
Yes, Randuin stands at the edge of the boat, marveling in his handiwork, as he sees all of the men aboard the ship burn and offer their souls to Great Woolly Rupert, a great Tyrannosaurus Rex in the sky. Yes. This is just the first of many offerings.
Very nice. Masatse, do you want to do anything else with the ship?
I think Masatse seeing the ship like in its crazy shaking all over the place, and Annette kind of has to focus on the wind. I think what he would do, how tall is Annette, by the way?
5 foot even.
Yeah, so he like towers over her. He's like 6'5", and he just walks up to her and looks down at her, maybe as she's trying to steady herself in the shaking of the ship, and he just kind of picks her up in one arm and sets her on his shoulders, so that she doesn't have to worry about like maintaining where she's standing, and just stands there as their pillar almost.
Nice.
Yeah, having a higher dexterity, she's able to wrap her legs, and so she's not like awkwardly sitting on you. It's almost symbiotic.
Cool.
Yeah, so he's just standing there being the pillar for them right now, so they don't go anywhere.
Absolutely.
Good idea.
And before Annette tries to go, they try to fire off cannons as a last resort desperation attempt. The balls don't even come near the ship. They just kind of sink into the water about 30 feet behind you. You hear even more men kind of crying out, and you start to see that the ship is pretty much almost entirely in flame at this point. A couple of them are breaking out the cannon slots and actually jumping out, and you just see the ship about to start sinking at any point now. Does Annette have anything else that she likes to do with the ship before we move on?
She doesn't even look back.
All right,
no
perfect. As you do focus onto the sail, you notice that darkness ominously sits in front of you, waiting like the night calling you guys into this storm. You look off in the horizon and see that water tornadoes have started to form, and as quickly as the sky was beautiful and blue, it is now dark and heinous and absolutely ferocious. The storm that is brewing against the ship. Waves are now crashing aside the board, and the men are doing everything they can to hold on. Water is basically just coming ankle high as the waves are aggressively crashing, people holding on to what they can. We'll go into a skill challenge now where you guys have to get 3 successful skills completed without 2 fails. And basically the way that works is on your turn, you can pick any skill that you want, reason how you're using it, and as long as you make the DC, then it counts as a success. Once you use that skill, success or fail, you can no longer use that skill again. And going back to the top of the initiative order, Damokos, what do you want to do to help aid yourself through this storm? And you can feel free to describe the action that you take.
Well, first, while he's still seated, he does like this little gang sign finger type movement and activates his dark. It's starting to get dark, and there's darkness ahead and whatnot. And then he'll stand up, and using acrobatics, not holding on to any ropes or anything. He's just right at the bowsprit, more or less, just stands there, darkness, to see what comes, and uses his acrobatics to maintain his footing.
All right, absolutely. Go ahead and give me a check.
That will be a 17.
17 is a pass. As you firmly put yourself in place and use your kind of muscles to, as the waves are hitting you and throwing everybody off proportion, you stand strong, and with your vision are able to see things, and you periodically call out as some men are almost getting slipped away. You grab onto one who's like sliding across the board or across the deck in the water. You grab onto his wrist and pull him up firmly and tell him to grab hold. So that is 1 success, and up next is Randuin.
Randuin looks at the men as they panic in this great storm, and he just scowls, his face darkening, his visage turning, as he lets out a thunderous roar, and he says, "Calm yourselves! You have nothing to fear but me. Any man who doesn't pull his weight will be devoured and offered to Rupert himself. Do you understand?" As he attempts to intimidate the entirety of the crew into working as if their life is at risk. Because
Absolutely.
the painful demise of a shipwreck is nothing compared to the agonizing devouring of Willie Rupert. And that is an impressive 11. I'm guessing the DC is like 15 or something?
You are guessing around correctly.
All right. And as they don't seem to take well to his words, he says, "Rupert, show them your true power." And as he says this, you see the terrifying visage of the most frightening hamster you've ever seen. Its teeth looking like rows upon rows of teeth that go on for eternity. as the spiritual form of Wooly Rupert takes hold on his shoulders as he calls upon the blessing of his deity. And that bumps it up an additional 7 on his roll.
Nice.
That brings it to a solid 18. As you want to describe?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. As they start to snicker, but as the spiritual form of his patron appears, you just hear the terrified scream of grown men. A few think about jumping off the boat, but they think against it, deciding that this beast is on their side, and they get their shit together.
Absolutely. Very nice. Masatse, you're up now, and you have two successes so far, no fails. You see that Randuin has started yelling at the group or at the crew. A couple men were like absolutely terrified at first, and were almost like falling off the ship as a fear, maybe not taking him too seriously. But as this visions of a horrifying hamster-like creature, the most terrifying thing most men have ever seen, they collect themselves and fear him more than death itself. What do you wish to do?
So the sail's still burning a bit, right?
Yeah, you would notice that it hasn't completely gone out yet, and looks like it could be a little bit of an issue if not taken care of.
So Masatsu kind of looks up at the sail, and I'm going to use my elemental attunement ability, which lets me snuff out a small campfire, so I'm going to be doing multiple.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of start reaching up, and I close my hand, like almost like I'm looking at it around each flame, making it go out in the sail. And I'll roll a... What do you want me to roll for that? I can do sleight of hand?
Sure.
Okay. That would be a 16.
That is a pass. And with that, you snuff out the flame, and although the weather is extremely dangerous and aggressive, like a band of crew members that have been sailing for years, you all band together. Commands being shouted out by Randuin and Nolan alike. The perception of Demakos and Masatse call out all these dangerous waves and rocks that start to jut out as you make it closer to the island. You see it in the distance. You also notice a net controlling the wind, giving the basically the perfect amount of gust every time you're going under and above the waves. The ship sails through masterfully, pretty much undamaged. And to all of your surprises, you make it out of this what seems like a ring of storm. And as you burst through, the waves start to slowly dive down. You look back and darkness has completely surrounded you. But as you look forward, you see the island a good 80 feet away. The weather inside of what seems like this ginormous storm ring immediately gone. And actually, incidentally enough, you look up and the sun is just kind of like shining down, almost like creating this holy light on this island as it's completely enveloped by this storm. You notice that there is lush trees, vibrant greens, the beachy kind of perfectly brown sand greets you guys, and you're able to start sailing towards there with a ship pretty much fully intact, which is very useful for you guys. With that, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break really quick. So anybody that needs to get a drink or a wash, go to the washroom, we'll do that, and then we'll jump back on no more than 5 minutes, okay?
Fantastic. I hope you're all having a fantastic time.
Gotta love that Woolly Rupert.
Wooly Rupert, the most powerful of all creatures in the universe. Was there ever any else? I see. There's been many, many a moon.
And I am back.
Shoot it up. So how's it going, Chris?
It is going good. Today was my last day of work. Now I'm on vacation, so I am pretty hyped about that.
Sense that you're about to soon attain the sweet release of freedom.
Yes, indeed. A release that I have not known for far too long.
So what do you think so far?
Randuin is quite eccentric, we'll say. He's definitely seems interesting for sure. It's funny.
You just imagine the terrifying mouth of a gape hamster, the teeth spiraling down his throat for all eternity.
I can't imagine that, to be honest. It's just too terrifying for my mind to behold.
I was gonna be really mad if Rupert didn't help me out. That ability is so good, man. You know what ability I used?
No.
It's the what do they call it officially? Dark One's Own Luck. At 6th level, you call upon your patron to alter fate in your favor. When you make an ability check or saving throw, you can use this feature to add a D10 to the roll.
Nice.
You can do it after seeing the initial roll, but before any of the effects occur.
Perfect. That's pretty cool.
It's basically like the bardic self-inspiration ability they get at really high level.
Yep. The selfish bardic inspiration.
Yep. It's the best kind of bardic inspiration.
Yeah. Who needs to help the party out when you do everything right yourself?
Swag.
Right.
You know it.
You see, like, somebody could be boring and they could be like, all right, I asked my deity, I want to add an extra D10. It's like, yeah, describe it, bro.
Describe your terrifying hamster deity.
Holy Rupert.
Really, Rupert.
All right. It seems like we all back. Am I correct in assuming so?
Yep.
All right. Very well. So we have just broken through the storm. The group has apparently handled themselves incredibly well. Nolan's selection, although it seemed casual, has been very precise in selecting the right crew members to take care of this draw. The pirates dismantled in mere seconds. They underestimated the sheer force and ability of all of you. As you break through the storm and the waves start to calm back down to a more easy to handle pace, basically back to a calm sea, you hear suddenly, seemingly from the center of the island, an enormously sounding bell ring that echoes for what seems like miles. It completely cancels out any noise, the noise of the storm behind you, the noise of your crew members, the noise of the chaotic kind of storm that's brewing behind you. The only thing that you hear is this droning of this ginormous bell, the likes of which you've never heard before. Something that can make a sound like this must be a monstrous in size. And as the ringing kind of vibrates away, it bellows out again. And as you're basically trying to talk in between rings, because when you are trying to talk while it's ringing, no one can understand what you're saying, it does so a couple more times. And then after a few minutes pass, this ringing stops. Nolan looks to the crew and to you guys and says, well, it seems like at least one part of the rumors seems to be true. I've never heard something like that before.
So I think what Masatse would have done is, his reasons for being here are more dire than earning treasure. Mm-hmm. So he would have put a net down on the ground because now it's much more still water. And you would see him sprinting across the water towards the shore. Like, nice. Just abandoning everything. He'd already be running towards the shore, across the water.
You would hear Nolan kind of yell out to you to not be too brass, and that in these kind of situations, it's best to stick together. I understand your eagerness. Wait for us, Masatse.
He wishes to offer himself to the gods of this island. How brave.
He would look.
Once I got to the shore, I would stop and wait, but I'd be looking around. Sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely. He would just kind of look to you and notice your eagerness and kind of nod to a net to like maybe push the ship forward a little bit quicker just to get to the shore. And as you guys do so, the ship kind of lands against quickly away from the shore, a good 20 feet, just kind of getting towards the shallow end of water. And you set anchor. He commands several of the men to stay back and attend to the ship. Although you guys took away most of the damage, the sails still need to be seamed. A couple of nicks and cracks from the storm a bunch of men will stay back and attend to the ship as he jumps off with the group that is now assembled and a couple other sailors. He commands them to, at this point, split up. He'll come with yous, and he sends another group off. He tells them to scan the perimeter of the island and be careful. These kind of forgotten islands often have terrible beasts on them that lurk in the woods. Everyone use caution. And then he looks to you guys and says, how about we go find out where that ringing came from?
Who does he leave in charge back at the boat?
Probably like a second-hand man, the guy who was steering the ship.
So I approach. Okay, so I approach him, and I reach into this like little side pouch I carry at my waist, and you'd see it produce this little kind of golden ring, and I offer it towards him, and I say, if anything happens, use this thing to contact me. Say my name into it and say your message, and we will come. And I hand it to him. I'm basically giving him one of the sending stones.
Perfect. He looks kind of confused at it and then holds it in front of him, kind of feels his thumb over the smoothness. Go ahead.
I kind of get up in his face. I'm like, my name, Masatse. Remember, Masatse. And I turn and walk back.
And as you're walking away, anyone looking would notice him kind of hold the stone, looking at it, rubbing the smoothness of it, and then hold up to his face and just kind of like, Masatse?
Oh. Did he really just use it?
Is it like a one-time use?
Yeah. It's once a day.
Fantastic. He knows how to use it.
I stop.
This is a great move.
I stop and I turn around
working?
and I look at him and I walk up and I take it from his hand and look him in the eyes and I say, mainlanders are stupid. And I turn around and walk back.
I don't understand. He used it perfectly well. How dare you?
I say one time a day and I slip it in my pocket.
Well, you didn't say that, so I think you're the dumb one here.
I just ignore him
sorry.
and keep walking.
I didn't know.
Well, the Rupert will let me use it infinite times. He's very generous.
While all that's
so
going
dumb.
While everybody's doing that, Annette will have made her way back down into her quarters where she would have had her stuff stored, and she'll take off her common clothes, and she will actually be wearing just the suit, which is skin tight and very revealing. She'll have her 2 daggers, and she'll have a spear that looks somewhat like a staff, and she'll walk up. Her hair aflame, her eyes aglow.
Absolutely. And as you catch up with the group, Noah would look to you and kind of nod and say, I agree, it is quite a bit warmer here. And he peels off his cloak. And you now notice that he's in kind of these leather armor. But you notice that his arms are actually quite a bit larger than you would expect. He looked like a lanky person, but you notice that his biceps and forearms are quite impressive and rippling. This man, who seemed to be pretty ordinary, seems to at least keep in good physical shape.
I'm not impressed.
And he just looks and says, I seek to impress no one, Randuin.
I see. The woman removes her clothing and you follow in suit. I
do find that hiking gets quite warm, so I just don't want to get all sweaty.
The sweating is the weakness leaving your body. You should cherish it, for it is a fleeting moment.
He nods and says, I'll keep note of that. Maybe next time.
Yes, perhaps one day you will be strong.
Perhaps. And then with that, he says, shall we get going, or?
Do you wish... Can I have a look around before we head off? Get a lay of the
Absolutely.
land?
What do you mean?
She'll hold her hand out to him, and then she'll start reciting a few words, and you'll see that she'll will like pop off the ground and she'll like float back down. I cast Fly on myself.
Absolutely. And how high can you bring yourself?
I can go 60 feet per turn. So
Okay, so you
I
can
can
get
go
up
60
pretty much
feet.
as high as you want. Absolutely. So you
within 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. So it doesn't take you actually that long to get a full view of the city, of the island. It seems to be probably around 5,000 feet in diameter. So a pretty sizable island, but not massive. You notice that in the center of the island, most of it is just flush trees and a couple of openings, but these like literally huge trees that seem to be hundreds of years old. They tower almost as high as you. It takes you a long time to actually get above them. And as you do finally get high enough to see this entire island, you notice that pretty much the entire island is surrounded in these like enormous trees. You do notice in the center of the island, though, seems to be like some kind of maybe crevasse or hole. And as you fly up high enough to see this, you would notice that there is this sinking kind of pit that looks like it has water deep down in it. You can't necessarily discern from how far away you are how deep this crevasse is, but you do see water and then a stream kind of carrying out to the all the way across back out to the island. And then other than that, just a lot of trees and a couple of openings.
Okay, she'll quickly, she'll like not cancel spell. She'll like, pause it for a moment. So she holds her arms out and she looks like she falls back, like she's falling back off a cliff, and she just falls towards the ground. And just before she hits it, she rolls and lands on her feet, and a gentle breeze cascades across the ground where she landed. And she'll, with a stick, what she saw for everybody, so everybody knew what you just explained.
Impressive. What do you think? I'm inclined to just start looking around. Is there anything that you guys want to do before we just set out? Any directions that you seek? Masatse, you seemed very eager. I don't take you as a man that is interested in grabbing all the treasure for himself. Have you come here for a means other than exploration?
I slowly turn and look at him and nod, and I say, I seek what is more important than treasure. I seek family. And I turn and start walking up the trail.
You seek power, I see. The only thing more valuable than treasure. Yes.
I kind of like look at him as if he didn't hear me, and I don't think he did. Like he kind of cut off when I said the most important thing than treasure, and I look at him, and I just kind of shake my head, and you hear me say under my breath, "Mainlanders," and they keep walking up the trail.
Yes. Yes. Rupert, I understand your power is absolute. Yes.
All right. The group would follow after Masatse, who's heading out kind of just, I'm assuming, in towards the island, as the rest of the group has, or the other kind of exploration group is searching the perimeter of these shores.
Yeah, I'm going with like my eyes, like I'm looking everywhere, trying to find some sort of hint or sign of the person I'm searching for. Anything.
So as you start to all head inside of this island, it is a large jungle, plant life everywhere. These trees, like 50 feet in diameter, and if not bigger, and just like carrying up some as high as 100 feet tall. It basically blocks out most of the sunlight, and it kind of gets to this dark, shadowy, almost humid but cool breeze that has blotted out the sun. You all can give me a perception check really quick.
I'm going to be
Nat
flying
20.
Nat 20.
So that would be a 27.
Nice.
A fantastically modified 19.
Nice.
Fantastic.
In awe with everything around me. I rolled a 3.
Absolutely.
That is awesome.
What did you're just taking in the jungle?
You're at one with the sand on the ground.
Yeah.
What did
I got a 25.
25? All right. So the first thing that kind of strikes people, or the first one to notice anything really after a couple hours of traversing through this jungle, you're looking for any kind of sign of life. You do notice a couple of critters scurrying along, the equivalent of like maybe a monkey, but a little stranger looking. It has a couple extra arms and a very long tail. A couple tiger-like creatures, but their colors seem to shift as they, almost like a chameleon, go from territory or from rock to tree to whatnot. You notice that their colors change. Everything seems to keep a distance from you, as nothing wants to get in your presence. They all kind of start running away as you see them. Demakos, the first thing that you necessarily discern as weird, and you would also notice that Noel himself has realized this too, is a lot of these trees seem to be infested with some kind of green moss. You instantly recognize this moss as some kind of tree-eating plague, basically. And you would come upon Nolan also studying this, and he would look to you and say, do you see this, Demakos?
Yes, it's quite strange. I haven't seen an herb like this before. Eating seems to be consuming the trees.
Yes, this is no herb, my friend. This is a parasite. These trees, a lot of them, are as good as dead. It seems like something has infected this land. It's sad to think that all of these beautiful trees will soon start to rot away. This isn't something that is the work of nature. This is something else.
Not the work of nature. What do you think it is?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen something like this before, but I can clearly tell that it is preying on the tree. And as he reaches to the moss, he pulls off a bunch of it and kind of studies it in his hand. And then he looks at the tree, and the tree just looks bruised and rotten. And as he actually feels against it, he's able to like push his hand into it, and like a bruised apple, he can actually like fully push into this tree where the moss was growing, and it seems to mush away. And he says, I haven't seen anything like this before. Have you?
I can give you.
Give me
I don't think so.
nature check if you want.
Well, I rolled high, so it's 18.
18. Interesting. So you don't necessarily know the parasite itself, but or actually you do. Do you give it a name real quick? Throw you on the spot.
Adaptive die.
Stuff.
What's that, sorry?
I've heard of it before.
Yeah, you can give it a name real quick. It doesn't matter what it is. Just throw it out there.
Wood eater.
Wood eater.
Monastery where I was raised, I'd heard tell of it that it could be brewed into some sort of toxic something or another.
Absolutely, and you actually know this is kind of a infectious parasite of some sort that comes usually from some kind of dark, maybe magic, or usually some kind of dark force, a creature of some kind or something. You also know that this doesn't necessarily only affect trees, more importantly. This could actually spread to humans, and it is known humanoids. And if you are infected with this plague, it is very painful. It causes blisters and other deformities that cause immense amount of pain. And if left infected for too long, probably the most important of details is that it will drive you mad.
Are there any animals nearby?
The animals, as you look, do seem to be a couple of, like, not necessarily important, but small critters that are around.
Yes. And as one of them runs by, you hear Randuin look at this creature. His mouth opens, and strange voices of animals escape, screeches and caws, and little odd rabbit noises escape his maw as he communicates with these creatures. Tiny ones, what is the most dangerous thing on this island? He communicates via beast speech.
Absolutely. And as these animals start to communicate with you, they basically start... I'm just trying to think of, like, how do you just speak animal to them, or is it like kind of like an intelligence thing?
It's this thing as speak with animal. Using their limited animal intelligence, they would tell me to the best of their knowledge how to answer my questions. For example, what's here is very dangerous. They would say, the bear that eats everybody, or the volcano that explodes and kills us all, or that log that kills all my little buddies when they go down.
So you would see visages of very large humanoid creatures, and these creatures, they basically show you their thoughts, essentially, kind of playing through your mind. And you see these, you would probably mistake them as giants. They're so big, running through the forest and just going haywire, smashing everything, killing anything that's in sight. And as one kind of a rabbit is basically displaying a memory of its family being slaughtered by these creatures, the large humanoid monstrosity of a creature gets down on all hands and knees and is just basically grabs one of the rabbit's kin and smushes it in its hand and then throws it into his face. And what you see is a very humanized face, but it's covered in warts and disgusting calluses and pus and just a very hideous sight. And it just rams this rabbit mush into its mouth and frantically goes off trying to smash whatever else it can. Just as you finish this horizon or this vision that is probably a little off-putting, maybe not to Randuin though, Masatse, you hear something in the brush, kind of a tree snapping.
A tree snapping, like an entire. Like how big are these trees?
Some of them grow to be as big as 100. If you were to look with a 29, you would see that one of the smaller ones, maybe a 30-foot tree, has fallen about 100 feet away from you.
Did anyone else hear this, or is it just me, basically?
With a 29, I'm going to say that it was far away enough that just you heard it because you were like super perceptive. This thing is quite a distance away.
So I almost sense that I don't hear the tree, but instead I feel the rush of wind as it slams into the ground.
Absolutely.
And kind of, I perceive this and I feel it. And I kind of like stop and like look towards that direction. I hold up a hand. Like to silence everyone. And I kind of like, I'm looking in that direction very intently to see if I hear anything else.
All right. And what is, first of all, what is Randuin doing with the knowledge that he just learned from the animals? They kind of skitter away after showing you this horrifying memory.
He ignores the hand held up in defiance and says, "The animals speak to me. They tell me that giant men squish them and apply their blood as paste to their blistering wounds that writhe with infection.
And what is Annette and Damokos? What are you doing with the knowledge of this infection?
I'm actually collecting stuff and tucking it into my pouch, my backpack.
Absolutely. And you would know that it's something that's usually ingested, actually, to be infected by it. So just touching it isn't necessarily dangerous. What's Annette doing?
Nothing.
Nothing?
She's just standing there. I mean, she doesn't know anything about this kind of stuff. She's just a killer. She's a mercenary.
All right.
Do this, do that, and thinking about stuff isn't really her strong suit.
So I imagine Masatse basically putting his hand up and saying that something's coming in to be quiet. And just kind of in the background, we hear Randuin yammering on about the power of Woolly Rupert and how he's not afraid of such a creature and whatnot. And then as you're trying to maybe quiet him down, another tree snaps, Masatse. This time much closer. You just get a flash of wind surfacing up away from you about 80 feet at this point.
So is it heading in like a straight line towards us? Like it knows we're here?
You don't know if it knows you're here, but it does seem like this is directly more close to your direction.
Okay. Let's see. Well, it doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to get him to be quiet.
Yes, Woolly Rupert, you have brought me offerings. Yes, I will give them back to you in kind, yes.
So, what can I do to make him shut up? So I'm going to use one of my disciplines, not as a way to damage him, but as a way to make him, like, be quiet. So it's an attack called Fist of Unbroken Air. But what I want to do, essentially, if you'll let me do it this way, is I want to suck all the air out of his lungs so he has to catch his breath so he can't talk.
All right. I'll at least give him a save to see if he can... is there normally a save implied in that?
It's more... Well, I don't know if you'll let me, though. It's kind of like an attack.
Yeah. Sure. Then do an attack on his AC. It's not to damage him, just to.
No, I'm just trying to like.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know what? I'm gonna like almost like use it to
That's
kind of
his
shape the air around him, so he's stuck in his own bubble.
Okay. That actually, I won't even really need you to do a save then. He doesn't even necessarily realize that he's in this air bubble. He's just continually calling out, and with the air around him, he kind of quiets. You can do a perception, Randuin, to see if you notice, but as of right now, you're silenced as the group all audibly hears now another tree kind of smash.
And he just continues on. Well, my voice is even louder now. Oh, fantastic. Yes, Rupert, I will give you your blessing immediately, as he is completely oblivious to the world around him.
All right. A couple moments pass, and you actually start to see a large creature start to head in your direction. About 80 feet away, almost giant size, you see this dark figure start smashing its way through, and it just looks like it's raging out on trees at this point. Masatse, as you kind of like duck behind a tree and look out at it, you actually see one of these creatures go up and bear hug an entire tree and then just rip it out of the ground. And this tree is like 60 feet tall. It's a pretty enormous thing, and this creature does it with relative ease. You see rippling muscles for arms and a large dark torso. As you kind of zoom in and try to get a better eye on it, you do clearly see blisters and kind of pus-filled bumps all along this creature. It hasn't seemingly noticed you, but it's sniffing. And you can tell that this is like a creature that is good at tracking. It is sniffing, and it senses that something's here. And you presume that it's going to find you pretty soon.
Okay. So I approach Annette, and I whisper to her, blow the wind in the opposite direction from us so they can't smell us. It is tracking us through smell.
And that's on me.
Okay. She's. I don't have any more of those spells for the day unless I want to use sorcerer points. However, I do have another spell. I'm going to use Gust, which is just a cantrip, and I'm just going to kind of like have her like hug us, and I'm going to cast one sorcery point to cast it without verbal or somatic components. So
Absolutely.
she just kind of carry their scent away.
Absolutely. So you actually cause this gust of wind to form around you, and it forms like a small typhoon that kind of just circles around all you guys, essentially picking up your scent, and then just kind of brushing it along the path in front of you off to a distance. You hear this creature kind of taking these large breaths and kind of grumbling. You see it go down on all fours and start to like sniff the ground and push over a tree, and then as the gust of wind kind of carries on, it hurriedly runs off in the direction you sent the wind, leaving behind you guys on the wiser. Nolan kind of sighs and says, "Whew, that was a very large-looking man or woman. Good thinking there."
I slowly just turn and nod at him, and I say, "Oh, sorry. Go ahead."
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say that we should continue on in silence, be as quiet as we can. And I look back over at our dwarven friend, who's still talking to himself.
Do you drop the spell on him yet? He's still going.
No, I mean, if he looks like he's still going at it, I'm just gonna let him go.
Okay.
After what seems like an eternity, his bluster dies down, and you kind of hear him calm down. So he just kind of nods and seems to.
The vision you had. She'll look at the. It was the dwarf, right? That had the vision.
Yes.
Yes.
Had these. You think that they were first is defected, and they're trying to remove it?
You're a funny child. They were infected with, perhaps they are infected with the same disease. Their foolishness as they devoured it. They rubbed the blood of these foolish animals upon them as if it were an ointment. Beware, perhaps they will infect you as well.
Kind of friendly sounds at you.
And as you guys have this
giving
discussion,
you a fair warning.
You hear in the distance a bum 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 bum, carrying on rhythmically.
Pull out
Everybody
my,
hears it?
I pull out my maul.
Can you what? Sorry, Annette.
Does it sound like it's footprints coming after us, or like
No.
a thumping, or is it just it's a beating? Oh,
It sounds like a beat.
shit,
It goes on
drop the
rhythmically.
bass.
Bum bum
Drop the
bum
bass.
bum 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 bum.
Whoa.
It's clearly rhythmic.
Stop.
She's gonna jump to cover, try to hide.
And then the sick dubstep beat just drops, and you all have yourselves like, just rage out.
Suddenly the giant leans around the tree. Drop the bass.
It's got a giant sized glow stick.
Darude Sands. Yeah. Nice.
Anyways, what do you guys want to do? It is just carrying on. The beat doesn't seem to settle down. If you just like hide away in the bush and kind of see what happens, it just continues going. You don't notice any of these large creatures stomping through. They're not necessarily, or at least this one wasn't necessarily quiet. You'd feel like you would hear it coming as it just was like ripping through trees like it was nobody's business.
Rupert, you wish for us to attack you, don't you? Yes. Let us continue. Let us fill your thirst. Fulfill it, yes. And he begins to walk towards the sound of the noise. His warhammer out already. His mighty maul of death.
All right. And what is everybody else doing?
Damakos actually steps closer to Nolan and watches what he's doing.
He is listening, kind of curiously, actually. And he would say, it appears that perhaps there is some natives on this island, native to the land. Should we go investigate? Maybe say hi. Maybe it's a festival. I know what you
Yes.
say is that these people are infected, but maybe not all are infected, Randuin.
Yes, perhaps I can cure them of their illness.
Yes, I was thinking the exact same thing, actually. For every illness, there is a cure.
Yes. I do have a philosophical question. Perhaps you can answer it for me. If someone has leprosy and I kill them, and I bring them back to life, do they still have leprosy?
He looks at you kind of puzzled and says, I believe so.
That sounds like a bad deal for them. All these years I've been led astray. Not that they ever came back, but that there was an option to come back.
He looks at you kind of just confused. You are a very interesting man, Randuin. To say the least, the most interesting I've met in a while.
I am honored that you can understand greatness when it stands before you.
She cost.
Oh, Annette, be careful not to ingest that moss. It's very dangerous. I would hate to see you infected also.
She looks to you. Oh, I ate my fill of it. Damn it. She just kind of looks down, like jokingly, obviously.
Yes, after you contract the disease, we will study your body. You. Yes.
Nolan starts walking towards the music. I would very much like to meet these people.
I would too. Hopefully they put up a fight.
All right, everyone following. You make your. I'm assuming everyone's following, correct?
Of course they are following. Yeah.
The
sheep in my herd.
the tribal kind of beating drum carries on as you head towards the center of this island, and that's where it seems to be emanating from. It takes you probably at least an hour to make your way through this thick jungle, and you would notice now that we're hitting around probably close to evening. Nolan looks to you and says that if we are going to find anything, we best hurry. We don't want to be caught on this side of the storm when the mother's tides end. what we faced earlier was just a mere comparison to how the weather will be after the storm picks up. Let's hurry. Let's make haste to this festivity, and let's meet these people. I would call that a treasure in itself, meeting strangers. Wouldn't you?
Yes, strangers we can defend ourselves against. Yes.
Maybe your family will be there, Masatse. You start heading, and as you get towards the center of the island, you do see, you basically come up a little off to the right of the center of the island, and you notice that buried or uncovered deep in the ground is this crevasse that spans about 50 feet wide and drops down into a ravine. The point where you come upon right now is only about 10 feet down, and as you look to the left, this crevasse and ravine carry all the way to what seems like towards the center of the island. As you look, it becomes pretty apparent that the noise is coming from that area. You have a choice to stay topside and just follow this crevasse, or you could easily climb down, and it looks like conveniently enough there's like a narrow pathway along the rocks that could support all of you, and you could walk down this ravine.
If we head down, we should do so quickly, and it will suggest to the party.
Yes. Make our presence known to them so that they will bravely stand up to us or cowardly flee. I agree.
So what shall it be?
Isn't exactly good for those with the sword. She just kind of looks to the combatants that look like they are more about melee fighters.
You don't understand the limits of your power.
Fair enough. So shall we stay topside then?
I would suggest that we go down, but do it with earnest.
Okay. Then, unless anyone opposes, you can climb down this crevasse and start walking along this narrow pathway. Does anyone have any objections to that?
Masatsu walks straight down the wall.
Okay. Doof, 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 doof. Carries himself
You would
down.
almost see like the earth come up and like with each step wrap around his foot.
Mhm.
So like he stays on the wall as he goes down.
Yeah, like a escalator of some sorts made of stone.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Strange man.
The beat gets presumably louder as you start carrying yourself towards the center of the island, almost to a very audible sense at this point. It becomes very apparent that you're close as you make your way to this opening, this kind of circular cavern in the center of this island that now, as you look, the water drops about another 10 feet below you. And as you look to the center, you see a small landmass in the center of this island. On top of it is an altar. Atop the top side of this crevasse is what you see a fair amount of torches in humanoids, very large humanoids, all beating on a drum, almost in perfect harmony. As you look towards the center of this, you see along the altar another herd of these tribesmen, you would call them, but in comparison, they actually strike you as Goliaths, but sizably bigger, borderline giant. A Goliath is normally a medium-sized creature. These are actually large-sized creatures and very comparable to a giant, although not quite as big. And on this enormous altar in the center of this now underground kind of lake in the crevasse is what seems like a small Goliath child tied to the very top of this altar that carries up about 30 feet, these massive stairs. And the tribesmen below the altar are all also just kind of standing there doing some ceremonious dance.
I wonder what they'll do. It looks like a sacrifice, but everyone knows that a true sacrifice is only valid in a combat to the death, not a cowardly sacrifice.
No one would agree with you and say that sacrifices are almost always pointless. A life does not need to be sacrificed in somebody's name, he would say. You'd probably disagree, but all life...
If they wish to make this, I can aid them. I will simply offer that challenge to the child in a fair fight, and I will sacrifice him accordingly.
He would look to you and say, surely, Randuin, you would understand that fighting a child would be in no way fair.
It is fair to Willie Rupert. If he has a blade in his hand, that is all that matters to him.
He would just look at you disappointingly. I thought I was a better judge of character, perhaps.
How dare you judge me? You are lucky that Wooly Rupert has deemed you allowed to live.
He stopped listening to you at this point, and he looks to the rest of the group. What should
Only
we do?
Rupert can judge him.
Only Rupert can understand. Only Rupert understands me.
He's like, yes, I'm sure he does. Now, Demakos, Anesh, Masatse, what do you think this is?
Yeah. What was down here versus what was up there? They're beating the drums up at the...
Yeah, and there is, you would count
Correct.
probably around at least 20 of them beating the drums up top, and then down below.
Well, we're down in...
Yeah, you're on like a kind of a
What's
cliff side. Go ahead. What's down in the altar, you asked, sorry?
Yeah, is the altar down in the crevasse with us?
The altar is in the center of the crevasse, kind of in this like in-ground pond that is there's like a little island in the middle of this. I'm gonna say like 80-foot crevasse, and on this island that is about maybe 30 feet by 30 feet is the altar that carries up quite high, almost as high as the crevasse itself, back to ground level, and you see on it a small child tied to an altar. He doesn't fight, actually. He sits there, kind of patiently waiting.
Do I see anything moving in the water?
Give me a quick perception.
21.
21. As you listen to this drum beating on, bump, 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 bump. Suddenly a loud, singular bum echoes across, and then the drums comes to a stop. All the men dancing around the altar also stop. As you look around, surveying the scene, you notice in the water the kind of movement of the water going against the current. It seems like something is swimming towards this altar. It seems quite big.
I can't believe this child would offer himself up willingly as sacrifice. Not even fighting his assailants. He's a coward. To resign himself to death so easily.
You guys are like talking about like, oh, he's resigning himself. Masase starts sprinting across the water, the surface of it.
Wait! And it will call out to him.
No, we must help. That child deserves a weapon before he dies.
Nolan actually follows suit, but he can't walk on water, so he just dives into the water and starts swimming as quickly as he can. Obviously not comparable to you, but as quickly as he can, he starts swimming towards you. What is everybody else doing?
Child gets a weapon.
Well, I mean, it's my boss, so...
The island itself is maybe 20 feet away from you guys. And then 10 feet down.
Actually, I will, Damako, seeing our employer rushing forward, will look towards Annette. It's this weird sidestep type thing where he actually steps into her shadow and teleports to the altar to another nearby shadow nearby this child, and then takes a hide action. And the one's going to do from there.
Nice. So you just teleport to the top of the altar then?
As long as it's not brightly lit.
So
I teleport from one shadow to another shadow.
Okay.
So somewhere that's not brightly lit and preferably not within direct line of sight of anybody else, any of these creatures.
Got you. What's Annette doing?
She's gonna run forward, but she's gonna cast Water Walk on herself, and she's gonna run across the water as well.
Absolutely. As you basically start Masatse leading the charge, just running up on water, these giant humanoid creatures instantly notice you. The ones standing guard, they pull their spears out of the ground, and they point them at you and start yelling in a language that, unless you speak giant, you don't understand. Does anyone speak giant?
Is primordial a part of that? I don't know. Okay, I don't think so. All right, no problem.
So nobody speaking giant wouldn't understand them, but it's quite apparent that they don't want you to come any closer. Nolan walks up to them and says, I do not mean to stop whatever is going on here, but it appears that this child might be in danger. Something is coming, and he points to the water. They just grunt and start doing these very vulgar kind of guttural sounds, pointing the spears at them. They basically corner you on the island. They have no intent of letting you get towards this child.
I think they're pulling weapons on us. Perhaps we should defend ourselves.
What is Randuin in all this? Has he jumped in the water, or is he kind of just...
He's running, trying to get over there.
All right.
What a pity. All these guys just got it
I
done.
think they all have weapons.
So yeah, they are all... There's about, I was going to say, 8 of them down below, and they've all kind of surrounded you guys as you made your way to the front end of this island. The altar is a good maybe 15, 20 feet away, and then a climb upwards. They are pointing their spears at you and basically inching forward and just kind of like doing aggressive motions, just stabbing the spear in your direction, just trying to push you back. And as they are trying to communicate with you and you're trying to communicate in a language that they don't understand, frustrations are quickly building up.
Should we defend ourselves? I feel very threatened right now.
Nolan would ask to not come to blow with these people. It seems that there's a language barrier. They do not understand what we are trying to say, and they do not understand us. This doesn't mean that they're hostile people. It just means that...
I know the universal language. That is might and power.
And he's just like, if you harm these people, that is a risk you take on your own. I wish to solve this like an intelligent being.
Annette will look to you. Perhaps this child is their sacrifice. Perhaps this is their religion.
Yes.
And as you say that, actually, a matter of fact, this stream that has been swimming kind of almost temptingly towards you, just kind of casually sauntering around, swooping through the water underneath, you see this large dark shadow try to surface up. And surfacing from the water is this worm-like snake, gargantuan in size, easily 40 by 40 feet, like 100 feet long, this huge snake with hundreds of eyes on the top of its head and a mouthful of spinning teeth, much like that of Woolly Rupert, only circular and all the way around. It also seems to go on for an eternity, and this snake comes up through the water and head just basically towers over you now. As you look up to it, it is about 20 feet above you. It lets out this humongous roar.
Is this creature purple? I'm just curious.
It does seem purple in color.
I don't know what that is.
If only they were here, they would enjoy this so much. That is a joke that only Chris can truly understand.
Nolan pulls out his sword as this creature comes and points it at the creature. Back, you fiend! The tribesmen get even more infuriated by this.
How are the tribespeople reacting to the big gun thing?
You would notice that as they see this creature surface, a bunch of them kind of like drop to their knees in praise. But then as Nolan pulls out a sword and you guys are squabbling over who to do what, they see that you're like challenging this creature, and they're torn between breaking their bow or doing something about it, and they don't seem now at the time are just bowing and yelling out aggressively at you.
I'm gonna run over to Nolan as he's drawing his sword. You said?
Yeah.
She's gonna run over and like put her hand gently, suggestively on his wrist as he's doing so. This isn't our fight. This is their god. You came here to make friends. Killing their god is not going to make them friends.
He would look to you and say, this is no god. These people, they don't understand. They behold these gods, these false gods, and go by ancient ceremonies that are pointless and meaningless. They think they're sacrificing to a god, but this is just a creature. They do not understand. They're not educated.
Yes. Allow us to educate them. through violence.
He would point to this creature and say, "Have you ever seen a god that looks like that? If their god
I
was
have never
just
seen
and
a-
fair, they would not require the life of a child."
So under my breath, Masatse would say, "Well, up until yesterday, I'd never seen a god that was a hamster." So
I have to say I envy his
Frowning.
teeth. It is molded after the great Rupert himself. But I know that Rupert would never accept the sacrifice of a child. He would accept the sacrifice of an army of warrior children.
The creature starts coming forward. It looks like it's going to slither up on the island and start heading towards the child, not paying you any attention.
She'll step
When it
back from
hits-
Nolan. So what's the plan, boss?
Go ahead, Damakos.
Just to head for the child, being that I teleported to the island, my hide cover, pull my dagger and start to cut the bonds of the child.
As you do so, the child looks back at you and says something, obviously in Giant, which I'm assuming you don't speak either, so you don't understand what it's saying. And it just sits there. It's shaking, and you see tears starting to stream down its face, but it just sits there waiting.
The child demands a weapon. Give it to him.
It's a small, like Goliath-like girl, actually.
Yeah, I imagine she's taller than I am.
Yeah.
I will get off of the altar and step up onto the altar itself, interposing my body between where this snake-like creature's coming and her, and the direction that I pushed her.
Yeah. And as you interpose yourself between this giant snake-like creature and Annette's asking Nolan what he was doing, he said, "I will not on any day watch a child be sacrificed to a beast. Sword out. Fight with me or not, I will fight this thing to the death."
She looks and she plants her spear into the sand. Then we fight to the death.
The creature lunges in at you all. Everyone make me a quick attack roll that wants to attack it as it does so.
so it's lunging at who?
Basically towards the child, or I guess now Damakos, who has interposed himself between him and the girl that's just sitting there.
So if it's all right with you, with my attack, I want to use that one ability, Fist of Unbroken Air, which lets me make a ranged attack, which does a bunch of bludgeoning damage. I want to see if I can knock its head away so it doesn't hit them.
All right.
So basically, I'm going to have to make an attack against it, though.
Yep, go ahead. Anybody else that wants to attack it also do so?
Okay. Can I attack with a spell?
Sure.
A cantrip? Most cantrips do.
Basically, if you're deciding to fight this thing, you can give it whatever you want to.
Okay.
I rolled a 19.
So I'm supposed to be able to get an advantage against I'm using Shocking Grasp, and I get an advantage against creatures that are wearing metal. Since it's covered in water, would that do the same advantage or no?
I'll say, yeah, it makes sense to me. I'm sure that's not how it's actually written, but that's fine by me.
Okay. I was just
Okay, so
sometimes like
it needs to make a strength save against my attack.
Okay. It absolutely fails.
Okay, cool. So that means it'll take an additional D10 of damage. And it is also knocked prone.
Okay. And what is everybody else doing for damage-wise?
I lift my great maul, the whisker of Woolly Rupert, as I crash it down upon this creature.
Holy
12
cow.
damage.
12 damage.
Yeah, I just did 30 damage,
Nice.
and it's pushed 20 feet away and knocked prone.
Beautiful. What does Damakos do?
Reaches out with his hand that doesn't have the dagger and just punches this thing straight at an AC if it'll hit.
That'll go through.
One of my allies is within 5 feet. Oh wait, never mind.
Absolutely.
I'm using unarmed, so
Okay.
won't count. For only points of damage, and it can give me as well as I activate my stunning strike.
All right. Dex?
Con.
Con. All right. It also fails that. It's just taking the brunt of all of your attacks. And what
it
is-
is stunned until the end of my next turn.
Nice. And what is a net do you finally? As for is that a save I need to make or an attack roll?
I'm doing an attack roll, but what happens, like, if something already has a disadvantage, it doesn't get any more of a disadvantage of it. Like, it's just, it already is.
Right. Yeah, disadvantage or advantage is all you can get.
Yeah, okay. I got a 15 total.
15 to hit?
I don't know if AC is altered if in 5th edition if something's knocked prone.
No, just more advantage or disadvantage basically. So basically
Okay.
the moral of the story is as you all decide almost simultaneously, Nolan jumps in the air with a sword and strikes. You all go into a flurry of blows, and this gargantuan-sized creature lets out a cry of pain and then falls to the ground, immediately slain by everything that you guys done, and just evaporates away. The entire tribe is in gasps. Shouting from the drums start to begin as they are enraged. Even the child itself comes behind you, standing up. This small, you can tell just by its facial features, is complete like an infant, but still bigger than you. And it's just in tears, like shaking you. Give me a perception really quick. Anybody?
I will look. I want to see the sadness in their faces. 10. No, 12. 12, even better.
Many
got
sad
5.
faces I've seen.
They look angry. Do they look like they wish to fight us?
They look pretty enraged.
Right. I'm going to cast another spell if I can.
Okay.
I will cast Flame Shield.
Okay.
And as I call out to the natives, thrust your bodies upon mine, lest I feed on your bodies. Yes. And you see a shimmering field of flame envelop his body.
Very nice. And is anybody else making a perception or?
Yeah, 5.
I'm at my most perceptive at a mighty 12.
Mighty 12. Nice. Ooh. And Masatse is not. You're on mute if you are, Masatse.
I got a 14. I don't know if that makes it or not, but
you obviously see the instant frustration and shock of the tribes people. One thing that also strikes anyone who rolled a 14 or higher is as you slay this creature, there is no blood or even trace that it was even there. It looks like it literally just evaporated in the sky. As you are all trying to simmer down, the Nolan is just arguing with the people who are pointing the spear that he saved the child. You should be thankful. They don't understand. A spear comes flying through the sky and lands, this massive spear that's bigger than all of you, probably by a good extra 10 feet. It lands right beside Nolan's foot. You see a hulking, muscular man at the top of this crevasse looking down at you all. He calls out in a language you all understand, common, "You have forsaken my people. What have you done?" With that, he soars through the air, jumping into the middle of this crevasse, landing on the altar, landing just beside the altar, right in front of you. He lands into the ground, smashing the earth around you, just kind of all momentarily almost falling prone, even though he's a good 20 feet away. This enormous muscular man, long, bright red hair flows down his entire back. He's adorned in all these kind of skeletal bones and like the furs of people. He pulls this enormous spear out of the ground. He also has a door-sized shield in his hand. He looks at you. "You shall give your life for betraying the All-Father. That was a servant. We were sacrificing this child to save our people."
I have never betrayed Willie Rupert. How dare you make such an accusation?
You shut your mouth before I stab this spear through your throat.
I would love to see you try.
ultimate power.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. Okay, I just eye this big man.
He is pretty much the size of a giant, even though you can tell that by skin complexion and stuff, he is a Goliath, but much, much bigger. Probably 15, maybe like 13 feet tall. His forearm is probably the size of you, Demakos. Randuin's like a foot, maybe a big toe.
Jerry, you make such an accusation. I'm the most powerful toe in the universe.
You people have come to my land. You've disgraced my tribe. You've disgraced our gods. You shall give your life in payment for what you have done.
That will disgrace you as well.
With that, he's going to attack you. And this is
snap.
This is going to be a spear right to your face. Surprisingly enough, the first attack, I'm assuming a 12, does not hit you.
Your attacks are as weak as your people.
It grazes by and flies by your head, kind of fluttering your hair in the wake of it. Shut your mouth, puny man, before you disgrace yourself and my people more. You can tell that even though that missed, it probably would have sucked significantly bad if it hit you.
I don't know what this logic and reason is you speak of.
Nolan at this point stands in and says, I'm sorry, what is your name? Mine is Nolan. We are explorers from outsiders, if you will. We have come to your land in peace. We do not seek to harm you. We just want to look at your land, and we've seen a small girl in trouble. Your customs, this god you speak of, is just a beast. It is no more than a feral creature that just seeks to feed on the innocent. This god you praise is a false prophet or something that is not real. With that, this man gets incredibly mad and punches Nolan right in the gut. And the force of this, literally, you feel like a gust of wind come as it sinks right into his gut. He takes the full brunt of the attack, almost lifted into the air. You hear the cracking of rib cages as this man's fist pretty much takes up his entire torso. Nolan drops to a knee, blood kind of curdling out of his mouth. The giant man looks at you and says, my name is Kalgara Wenreg. I am the leader of this tribe, and you all have disgraced our ceremony to the All-Father. An offering of help. Our people are sick, and you have doomed us by destroying his servant. We cannot forgive you for this. You must take your life and give it to the All-Fathers. Lay down your weapons or be destroyed.
Calgary.
Nolan is knocked out of wind. He can't say anything.
Well, that is the name of the man I will kill.
Can we act out of turn?
Yep, go ahead. This is not initiative.
Okay, she's gonna look down to Nolan, and does it look like he's just trying to catch his breath?
Yeah, he's not. It just looks like he was caught off guard, and that the wind is knocked out of him. He's just like heaving for air, blood kind of foaming from his mouth.
She's gonna kneel down beside him. What did you call, boss?
He spits out some blood, and after a moment, he catches his breath. It's fine. He just caught me off guard. That was a good punch. He stands back up, and he holds out his hand. Calgary, you said. I am Nolan, and these are my friends. Damakos, Annette, Masatse, and Randuin. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. Your ceremony, your beliefs, they're flawed. I can prove it to you that this creature is no god. This curse that you speak of that has infected your people, it is no curse. It is a mere plague brought on by a tree. I swear to you that if your people are sick, we can cure it. What do you guys do?
I'm just standing ready in case he tries to punch him in the stomach again.
He goes to do that, actually.
Okay, I'm gonna step up and just with a very flourished move, I kick his fist to the side. Not like to hurt him, but just like when somebody's attacking you and you kind of push their hand to the side.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm doing with my foot, like kicking it out of the way.
All right, go ahead and do an attack roll. See if you land it.
Oh, that was really good. I'm guessing it's gonna be like unarmed.
Yep.
So that would be a 24.
Nice. You managed to, even though this creature has a tremendous force behind it, kick his hand out of the way. It stops just moments
God,
before
it went
hitting.
past my head.
Yeah, right by Annette's head. She has to like lean back to dodge it, almost taken out, completely sent across the lake. You're able to stop that. He looks at you in a fury.
And I kind of just like slowly look up at him and say, "Words can remedy things that violence cannot. Perhaps you should listen."
While these guys are doing that, Damokos is circling around behind this guy, not taking any aggressive action, just changing his position.
Okay. And what's Randuin doing?
Randuin has his weapon out. He's just begging for a reason to kill this thing.
Damokos, you also realize as you're kind of circling around that the tribesmen that were bowing to this giant serpent have also all standed up now at this point too, and they have grabbed their spears also and are basically looking to this giant man who calls himself Kalgara to just give the word. It's at a standstill at this point. He looks to you, says words. What did you say again? Sorry, Matsumsatse?
I said sometimes words can solve what violence cannot. Perhaps you should listen.
Words cannot fix a curse that has been bestowed upon us. Only tribute to the All-Father.
And I look at him, I look him in the eyes, and they say, "Perhaps words cannot cure your village, but medicine can."
Give me do you want to try to persuade him or?
Sure, why not? Let's go for it. I'm gonna use lucky.
Okay.
That was like a 3. Okay. 17.
17 is enough for him to back down. And actually, he's not going to back down. He looks like he's going to fight you. And then you hear an elderly voice of a deep, giant man up from the top. And as you look, you see these 4 really old, long, white-beard Goliath men that are actually more appropriate of size. And they call down and they say, "Kalgra, that is quite enough. I am a great judge of character. And although you are the leader of our tribe, you lead through our word. These people, they have ernst in their voice. They speak true. They are not liars. If what they can say is that they can save our people, is it not worth it to hear them out?" And Kalgar is just kind of looking on, like ashamed that he's being called out by his elders.
I think like he and I are still having like a staring contest.
Oh
at each
yeah.
other, so.
And this is what breaks the lock in eyes as he looks like he's about to punch you, and you guys have just been staring each other down. The old man calling him out actually makes him drop his gaze. He kind of like bites his lip in frustration as he knows that he can't really go against these people, these elders that he respects. They say, if these people can save our tribe, it is worth hearing them out. And if they can't, if they are false prophets looking to bring their own gang, then yes, we will sacrifice them to the All-Father. And that will be done with it. You have exactly, and they give you like maybe a couple of hours at best. And you guys know you're already on a time at this point anyways, as evening is approaching, and you don't have very much longer to bring a cure to our people. If you do, we will set you free. If not, you will pay your life to the All-Father and bring pride back to our village that you have broken. One of you must stay back. The rest of you are free to seek what you call medicine. Nolan will instantly volunteer to stay, and he'll sit on the altar and wait. I volunteer myself. I trust these people. Damokos, you said you're a study of herbalism, correct? And if you nod, he'll say, "Do you know the plant?" And he'll just call it like the vicrolic plant. seek that out. I think this will cure what they seek. Do you know what I speak of?
Do I?
Yeah, anyone that has a knows herbalism, you both would know of it. Masatse and Damakos. It's a pretty common flower, known for properties of combating parasites. Basically, you know what it looks like, and you basically know where it grows.
Okay. Then I will say yes. I'm familiar with that.
Then go. We don't have enough time. Look at the sun. It is quickly fading. If we're to get out of here, we must do this quickly. But these people are sick. We must help them. We must show them that senseless sacrifices of children is not acceptable. No God would want their people to do that. Please do this for me.
Hey, it's your gold.
And with that, he'll
I
go.
say with a rather type look in my eye.
With that, he'll go rest himself on top of the altar and say, I have no problem giving myself up if I can't fix this. If I can't fix this plague, then have your gods devour me. I will give my life willingly, because I promise you that this God you pay tribute to is no God. You're merely infected by a sickness. Go, my friends. Find the vitrolic plant.
So with this, I drop my foot to the ground after I keep pushing his fist away. And this guy's name is Calgarash, right?
Yeah, Calgara.
Calgara. So I put my fists together, and I bow my head to him, and I say, your strength is admirable, as is your desire to protect your tribe. And I bow to him, almost just like showing respect, and I stand back up, and I meet his gaze once more, no longer as kind of like an angry, like defend my the person who I'm here with type thing, or defend my friend. Now it's kind of just like now we have an understanding of each other. And I turn and walk off.
And you would think that, but he looks at you. And as you try to give him a nod of respect, he spits to the ground and says, I look forward to seeing all of you devoured. You're lucky my elders aren't as quick to react as I am.
And I say, then you shall be disappointed as we cure your people. And I turn and walk away.
And then with that, he kind of like looks like he's just like taken aback. Like that he's more worried about proving you guys wrong than the fact of healing his people. And with that, he kind of gives you like a look of you essentially won the argument of that. He looks like he doesn't know what to say. He rams his spear into the ground in anger.
Oh, I just want all these people to come up behind me and be like, oh, oh.
All right, so with that, I'm assuming everyone wants to head out to the forest and looks for these plants. You know that these plants kind of are a coastal thing that grow on shorelines. You know if you follow the crevasse that it wouldn't take you long, presumably, to get to a shoreline and find one of these plants.
While we're walking come up to Masatse and say, he has some interesting techniques, some I've seen.
I turn and look at him, and I say, on my island, they train warriors in what they call the ways of the earth. He says, we believe the most pure form of combat is that of the body, using the fists, the legs, and harnessing the power of the elements. And I kind of look at him, and I say, by the way you carry yourself, I can see that you have trained in the way of the fist as well.
I've trained in many different styles and whatnot. I don't subscribe in particular. I find styles. I do what needs to be done. I just say kind of coldly, not cold towards him, just like a grim tone.
I say, do not let that desire consume you, and continue up the. I just like look at the wall and like walk up it. I love that ability.
Yeah, it was hard to multi-class.
So yeah, you guys are able to make your way to the coastline, and as you do so, you can look out into the sky and see that the ring of storm that surrounds this island is starting to pick up. And as you look up to the sun above that's been shining down on this island, it's starting to get a little darker. You've now hit around evening at this point, and know that you probably only have a few more hours of daylight left to get anything done. You guys can give me a nature. Go ahead.
So Masatse, seeing that we're running out of time, would turn to the group and suggest that we split into 2 parties.
What does Randuin, Annette, and Damaco say to that?
I worry for you alone in the wilderness without Rupert to guard and protect you.
I say if Rupert is a god, then he will protect us all.
Oh, no. Rupert only acts through me. He's not a benevolent being.
I kind of look at him like, is that a vote for a no or a yes then?
I have learned that when I abandon my allies, they often die. So no, I don't wish to bury your body and offer it.
Kind of look at the other 2 then.
Split up or no? You would assume that if you split up, you'd have a much better chance of finding it quicker. If you stay together, then you have a safer time doing so.
You should tread lightly and avoid combat at all costs. Time is of the essence. I will travel with the dwarf, and she'll motion towards the Rupert bearing holy man.
Yes. Fine, I will cede to your silly demands. We will split up and search this island as if it truly mattered that we recover this.
We truly depend on you two. You two are the ones that will be the ones that are most likely to find it. We'll stay closest to here and stay guard and be the waypoint between our employer and you.
Okay, so what are the groups going to be then? Annette and Randuin and the 2 monks together?
I guess.
I think it'd be better if the 2 monks split up, actually, since we both have the herbalism and it gives 2 eyes looking elsewhere.
I have to admit, if you ask me to find the cure, I will never find it.
I won't find it either.
I actually kind of wish to watch them suffer until the end of their days.
What a sick dwarf!
Only through suffering can you find your true strength.
Woolly Rupert is one twisted hamster. That's all I can say, dude.
When you say the only through suffering part, I sort of spit. It sounds like what the monks at the orphanage used to say. They followed Ilmater, the endurance god of suffering.
They sound like very powerful people.
Or unwilling to defend themselves don't deserve protection.
I'm not protecting them.
So time is definitely ticking as you guys are kind of standing around deciding where to go and who to split up with.
Give me one of those.
Walk off with
Give me one of those naked men, and we'll go find it immediately.
Who wants to go with the good buddy Randuin?
Don't everybody speak at once.
So the groups are Randuin and then the 3 others.
I kind of look at the dwarf. I look at the dwarf and I say, "Do you understand that silence is key here?"
Yes, I will silence our enemies with great swiftness. Yes.
I say, "You will hold your tongue while we are in the jungle, so that our time is not taken from us."
Yes, I understand.
I nod at him and say, "I will go with the dwarf."
All right. So in teams of 2, one person can give a nature check at advantage, and the other can give a perception. You need to find 2 of these, at least 2 of these plants to give enough to what you've seen of the tribe. You don't know how many there is, but you know that a plant can go a long way. It's a pretty sizable plant. What was I going to say? Lost train of thought there.
We have to save them all. I mean, it would be a lot easier.
Where do they typically grow at? What spots do they typically grow?
What's that, sorry?
Where do they typically grow?
Around the coastline, so you're in the vicinity of it. So yeah, go ahead, and you need to basically find 2 every time you guys fail. Basically, an hour will pass, which will be pretty
Devastating.
yeah.
You
I'm
want to
gonna
do
cast fly on my partner, so you can fly around and look better on the coast. So you can look around faster. Does that help? If I
Yes.
instead of casting it on you, she's like, "Will you being able to fly higher help you?"
And that's to Demakos, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't, yeah, flying should be a little bit easier.
All right. Here's what I'll
Allow
do.
me to move. Anyway.
She'll cast fly on you. You'll feel buoyancy, and you can just think where you want to move in the air, and you can go 60 feet in that direction.
All right, so I'll let Demakos make the first nature check at advantage then.
I have a special gift for my monk as well.
That will be at a 16 for the high one.
16. You manage just to find a plant. It's pretty sizable and a fair size, or pretty healthy and in good shape. So you're able to pluck that from the ground. Give me a perception, Annette.
Jesus, take the wheel.
77.
77. Only 77. 14.
Okay. As you're kind of surveying the scene, you're just basically noticing that the storm is starting to pick up, as it seems this mother's tide is quickly starting to fade. Go ahead on to Masatse now. Let's see if we can find a flower for you. Your DC is 15.
Okay. 15. That's nature with advantage?
Yes, nature.
Okay.
Do you need my help? I would like to take a rest, to be perfectly honest.
If you what?
I would love a rest. I'm rather sleepy from slaughtering so many things today.
Okay. All right. So did you say was at advantage or not at advantage?
Without any kind of benefiting factor, just regular for you.
Okay. Either way, I'll just take the lower one of the two because I rolled at advantage. That would be a 18.
18. You still find one of these vitrolic flowers, and describe what it looks like for me really quickly.
So these flowers, they kind of almost look like a daisy of sorts, much larger though and very exotic. They kind of have a yellow petal that the center of it's kind of like this crimson that kind of flecks and splays along the bottom of it with a distinct violet center.
Very nice. And did I hear that Rupert's taking a snooze?
Yes, I am contemplating my existential existence on this island. I am communing with Willie Rupert as he picks flowers. I will stare into my powerful maul, connecting my spirit with Rupert's for now.
Perfect. And unfortunately, as you try to do so, you just find a nice place to take a load off your feet and maybe start doing some kind of communication with Rupert to regain your strength. You miss your perception and don't notice that a very large rock comes sailing through the air, and it actually hits Masatse.
Oh.
27 to hit, which I'm assuming you can't do much about.
Ow. Okay, yeah, no, I can't do anything about that.
You take 19 bludgeoning damage as a boulder-sized rock flies into your back as Rupert wasn't watching out for you.
Yes, Rupert, what is it? Yes.
And as that is going, you see from the tree line bursting out one of these tribesmen that you just recently talked to, but you notice that this one has most of its tribal wear broken off and rotted away, and on its back you see a cluster of these hideously boiled over blisters, a couple of them pussing with like green blood, its teeth all rotten out, and you just see a couple of big moldy teeth sitting in this guy's mouth, his eyes bloodshot red and foaming. A couple of his skin seems to be like peeling away, and green almost moss seems to be growing out of it. Luckily for Annette,
Wait,
and
that's a
Democ-
missile, right? That he threw?
I guess yes, technically, although it'd be large.
As a reaction, I can like try and wait. Actually, I don't know if I can stop a large one. Let me hurry and check real quickly.
And
I
then,
actually don't know. I don't know if it matters on the size of it. I can't stop all the damage. That's probably pretty much
Yeah.
for sure.
You're trying to use a reaction to negate some of the damage.
Go ahead and
Yeah.
look that up while as
10
your
plus
perception. As your perception.
That'd be so
was,
sick if I could negate it all, though.
Yeah, absolutely. As your perception was 14, Annette, you also noticed a very similar one of these creatures bursting through the tree line. Only you guys see the rock coming because you were looking out for it. As Demakos was looking, you call out, and at the last second, he's able to, with the flight, dash away, and a rock comes sailing by him. As we will now roll initiative as these hideous blistered giants have.
No, yeah, I can straight up block it.
Give it a shot.
So I rolled a 9 plus 10 plus 3. So 22.
Nice.
So I turn, I hear the whistling in the wind, and I see this rock come sailing towards me. And maybe Randall like looks up at the moment, and maybe he's about to say something. And I kind of turn, and you see me plant my feet, and like the rock grows over my feet. And I close my eyes, and I put my hands in front of me, and it stops as it slams into me. My body like goes rigid. You see it crack a bit, almost like my skin is kind of made of stone.
Nice. Job well done.
Did I get anything for not helping him? Did I get a short rest?
I don't think you got a short rest in time.
Oh, you're killing me. I don't get any spells. This is so weak. Well, Warlock with no
Eldritch
magic.
Blast
Okay.
for the wind.
What's that? Give me a initiative, everybody.
Theoretically, if
I
I was to commune for how many more minutes would it take to get my spells?
I would say that maybe 30 minutes.
Oh god, that's a lot of rounds. I guess I'll just fight.
Okay, we got Masatse at 15, Annette at 4, Damakos at 15, and Randuin has his feet up at a 3. Springing into action first is Damakos, and you guys are not near each other whatsoever, so basically this is happening on 2 separate sides.
Watch out, they're throwing rocks.
I kind of just look at him like a no
said it was-
crap look, like as I've got my hand still out holding this rock in front of me.
I would have just dodged it. That's just me, though.
What do you got up your
So
sleeve,
it was
Damakos?
approaching the evening.
Yeah, he's running out of the bush now at this point, 20 feet away.
It's more about the lighting.
Oh, lighting. It's like it's still not dim yet either. Unfortunately, the sun is still up.
Then I will fly towards him.
Although if you were to head to the tree line, obviously, then you'd have dim lighting for sure, if that's what you're looking for.
No, I'll just fly. Is he within 60 of me?
Oh yeah.
I'll just fly straight up into his face and start attacking him.
All right, and this creature is large. Give it a shot.
Does that mean I got an advantage? Does that mean I got an advantage or no?
No, just to give you a comparison of size, he's quite a bit bigger than you.
My daggers, I just fly up to him barehanded at least twice, or swinging at least twice.
Go ahead.
First one will hit at a 19, second one at a 21.
Yes, both definitely hit. On these guys, they only have natural armor of 14.
And do I have an ally with them?
Annette probably
Annette
isn't
that close.
Annette probably is a little bit back still at this point.
All right. Well, then I will also use my flurry of martial arts to make a bonus action third attack.
Sounds good.
But that was a critical fumble.
Nice.
From the first two. Points of.
How many? Sorry, you cut out on me. All right, 17. You start landing your fists, just going into a flurry of blows on this thing's uppercuts to the gut, and then you're just kind of flying around, punching it in the face, and just with the magical spell of Annette, just landing a countless amount of blows. But as you go to like push yourself even further and do your actual flurry of blow technique, the giant creature grabs onto your fist, stopping your attack, and then throws you into the ground. You don't take any damage. You're able to collect yourself with the flying spell. But next up is Masatse, and you're basically on another side of the island, a good like 200 feet away. You don't know this is going on, but you also seen a rock that comes soaring out at you. You block it with your monk ability, your training, and then you see this thing rushing towards you. It's about 20 feet away, foaming at the mouth.
So I kind of imagine it's like running through the trees, right?
Yeah, it's like literally not even running around them. It's pushing through them and just knocking over dead tree after dead tree.
So I calmly like step to the side around the edge of the boulder and look at this thing. And I close my eyes. When I open them again, they're kind of glowing almost. I reach onto my back and I pull this short sword off of my back and bring it down next to me. And there's kind of like an aura of wind around the outside of it. And I kind of look at this Goliath monster and I rush towards it. And so what I'm going to do is I have 50 feet of movement speed. Okay. So I run up 20 feet, and then I reach a tree next to it. I want to get up next to its head, so I run up this tree. I almost imagine it's probably like 15 feet tall.
Yep.
And I run up to the top of the tree, and I jump. And I'm going to, with my bonus action, cut it across the face, and then punch and kick it.
Nice.
Like straight up out of like flying, wait, what's it? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like, let's go. Okay. So for my 2 attacks, my fists, one of them I get a 20 modified, and the other one I get a 14.
Still a hit. 14's your mark.
And then for the short sword, I don't have my bonuses because I don't have dual wielding. But I still hit because I got a 20.
Nice.
Not nat 20 because I got a +1 because it's a +1 sword.
Yep.
Okay, so I hit 3 times. So that's D6. Ouch. So one of my fists does 3. So one of my fists does 4. One of my fists does 9, and then my sword does 9 also. So I hit him for 22.
Nice. Yeah, you jump off this tree after running up it and do like this kind of spinning sword strike, and as the blade cuts across this creature's mouth, basically rupturing one of its blisters, pus kind of shoots out, and you quickly follow up with a kick to the jaw and then a punch right square in the face, almost knocking the creature back. He groans in pain, and he's actually going to instantly retort as it's his turn. He's going to look at you angered as you land to the ground gracefully, and he's going to lurch forward, pull a tree right out of the ground, and use it as a great club. He's going to try to smash it into you, overhand swinging, 26 to hit. And
that'll most definitely hit.
13 damage, as apparently
Ouch.
I can't roll damage. And then he's going to follow up with grabbing you with his fist. And what is this? A save, I believe.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
Let me make sure. Yeah, it's a save. Make me a charisma save.
A charisma save?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Let me change that to a dex. I forgot that I repurposed these characters.
Okay. I was like, charisma? I was wondering what was going to happen. Okay. So for a dex save, I got a 15.
15 is just barely a save. This creature belches right into your face, and as he does so, you see these pus-filled blisters in its mouth kind of spurt out on you.
Ugh.
And it is very acidic. Luckily, you're not infected by it, but you still take half a 27.
I have evasion.
Oh, you don't take anything then?
Yeah, evasion allows me, if I succeed on a dex save, to take no damage instead of half.
Very nice. Annette, you're able to basically just as you're grabbed, pray away from these acid blisters exploding. Annette, you're now up. You see Damokos in battle with one of these blistered giants.
How far away is it?
You could easily reach it with less. It's like 20 feet away.
Okay, Jesus. Okay, it will feel a prickling feeling as like electricity itself, almost as if like a lightning bolt. That same feeling you get when electricity, like a lightning bolt's going to smash into you. It gets that similar feeling. I'm spending 3 sorcery points. It has a disadvantage on a save, and then all of a sudden she's going to throw her hand out, and a watery sphere is going to encapsulate him. He has to make a spell save 17 strength check. He has disadvantage.
Disadvantage. Luckily, this guy's pretty strong, but rolls a 10 at disadvantage. That's impressive.
Now 10 feet hovering in the air of the bubble. We don't have time for this. Let's go. And she's going to run past him.
Absolutely. And he's completely stuck in this bubble, right? Can he get out of it? It's now his turn.
He can. On his next turn, he can try to make a save again.
All right. So on his turn, he's going to try to make his save. I'm assuming that takes pretty much. Oh my God, that's impressive. How bad I'm rolling. He does not. He's just caught in this bubble, and he's angrily trying to burst out of it, but he cannot. He's just basically upside down at this point.
He's drowning as well.
Nice. Does he take any damage then?
No.
Okay.
I mean, unless he's trying to take a breath of air, and then he'd be suffocating, whatever that.
All right. Gotcha. He can hold his breath for now. Randuin, you're up next, and your nap has unfortunately been rudely awakened as you see this giant blistered creature start bursting from the forest, grabbing a tree and trying to whack Masatse with it.
All right.
That's kind of fun.
I will charge into battle, and I will raise my mighty warhammer, maul that I cannot say correctly. I'll strike it upon him. That is a very impressive 1, followed by an impressive 20, a lot to hit.
A lot to hit is definitely a hit.
Yes, as you see, the first strike comically misses, but that was all but a facade, a ruse to get him unawares. As on that backswing, I strike him with my mighty warhammer for a grand impressive total of 8 damage.
All right, 8 damage does slam into this creature. It's basically like its big toe, and as you do so, you see the pus kind of pus out and flow from beneath your hammer. Seems this creature is absolutely covered in boils, and it's rather disgusting to hit him. As you do this strike, though, it's more like him stubbing his toe. Do you got anything else?
No, I have no magic, so that's fun. The only thing I have is my fiendish resilience, but that's just a passive ability.
Gotcha. That puts Demakos back up then. You see Annette cast basically a watery bubble that lifts this Goliath up and entraps him. He's struggling to breathe. She tells you that it's time to go. You guys don't have time for this. What do you want to do?
I'm going to snatch up another couple of flowers or take off running in the direction that she went.
Absolutely. And as you guys start to take off running, you hear the commotion from Masatse and Randuin. You can hear off at about maybe 60 feet away as you ran for some distance that they're clearly engaged with one of these two. Next turn, you'll be able to jump in and help them if you wish. Masatse, you're now up.
After getting hit by this big old tree that it freaking engulfed me with, man, I feel like Tiger Woods. Okay, so I get smacked by this huge tree, and I kind of grunt. Kind of makes me knock back a bit. You see the kind of like cracks forming on my skin, almost as if like there's like an earthen barrier kind of. Just flavor, doesn't actually mean anything. And I kind of slam back against this tree upon taking this hit. And I kind of look up at this big, huge Goliath thing. And I kind of think to myself, like, same thing that she was thinking, we don't have time for this. And I look at this thing's kneecap, and I smile to myself. And I'm going to use my, again, Fist of Unbroken Air. So I make an attack against it, which I'm going to use Lucky on, because that was crappy. So that is a 9 plus 7. Okay, that's a 16 to hit.
Yep.
So strength save for him.
All right. So let's see if I can roll above a 5, which I haven't done yet on any of my saves. Hey, 21.
Okay, so he succeeds on the save, but he is going to take 3d10 damage,
All right.
and hopefully other effects as I shoot him in the knee. 14. 23 points of damage.
And a fist to the knee. The most
So like
devastating.
you see me like pull my fist back, and all of the air seems to pull back towards me, like a vacuum almost. And as I bring my fist forward, I don't even touch his knee, but there's this explosion of air that rockets forward, almost as if like an air rocket, basically.
Nice.
And like if you were watching, all the air coalesces into like a fist as it comes out of my hand, slams into his fist and his knee instead of my hand.
You hear a cracking of his kneecap and literally see his leg invert in the opposite direction a knee should bend. He groans out in pain. It echoes through the forest. Birds flutter up from the tree line. This creature is just yelling in pain and anger as his kneecap has been absolutely smashed. You know that he would have half of his movement reduced and basically have no chance whatsoever of chasing after you. But his yelling is droning on and just so loud it echoes. You can't help but feel that it would probably draw some attention to you guys.
Yeah, I look at Randuin and I say, Randuin, it's time to go. And I start sprinting off back the way we came.
And for a monk, it's 5 miles, right, per turn?
Basically, something like that.
So yeah, Masatse and Damakos make it back in like 2 seconds flat because they run ridiculously fast, and the rest of the group has to catch up. But no, as you guys start to run through the forest, Annette, you're running behind Damakos, and you're struggling to keep up because he's so incredibly fast and just whipping through these trees, parkouring over them, doing flips, and just making.
Wait, before I go, can I throw the dwarf over my shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay, I throw the
If you
dwarf
allow
over
it.
my shoulder.
Unless he wants to fight it.
I am your sacred package delivered to where.
And if you can make it to the location without having a hit done to Randuin, he can have a short rest.
Okay.
This is going to be a don't let Randuin get hit adventure.
Okay.
You guys,
I'll use Step of the Wind then, so I can dash 100 feet instead.
nice. You guys are making some really good speed. Annette, as you are trying to keep up with Damakos, you hear a snapping and a flurry of wind burst through the tree line, leaves kind of knocked off the tree, fluttering down, and you hear this cry of pain from an enormous man. Soon after, you see, with agile speed matched by Damakos, Masatse flying through the trees with Randuin on his back like a trusty steed. Masatse is just being very agile and also dodging through trees quickly. With the yelling droned on, though, you hear the snapping of trees all around you and the grunting of what sounds like many more of these Goliath men raging out and trying to make their way from you. You hear the trees almost like just rumbling as it seems like a small force of these blistered Goliaths are heading their way to you. What do you wish to do?
I'm going to cast a sorcery point to replenish the spell slot and cast Flatten myself, and she's just going to keep running and like focus on the inner energies of herself, and like you're going to see like a trickle of blood kind of trickle from her eyes as she draws the power from herself instead of from the arcane energies that usually hover around her, and she's going to kick off from the ground, and like leaves are going to follow her as she picks up speed, literally doubling her speed from 30 feet to 60 feet a turn.
Nice. So you all are moving very quickly. At this point, we're going to make our way back up to Damakos, which you can... This is basically going to be a skill test of sorts, too. Only you're going to have blistered giants chasing after you. So what do you wish to do on your turn? You hear them coming from every direction. You can't really discern how many there are, but you know that they're ahead of you.
I'm going to continue running the direction that we're supposed to go, and I'm doing like ninja flips off of tree limbs, and every now and then I'll a shadow of a tree and pop out 60 feet further along the trail. And as soon as I see one of these guys, I will...
you do see one as you pop into existence.
action to drop a globe of darkness straight and continue running right past him.
Nice. He pops out in the woods in front of you as you kind of phase in, and swings his tree great club at you. You just use your darkness to flash by him. He swings into the ground, knocking out a bunch of trees, and you easily are able to pass over him. Anything else?
Just continue running and moving, keeping I can and stepping through shadows, trying to stay ahead of them.
All right.
Them from slowing me down. Stop.
Masatse, same kind of deal for you. You see Goliath burst out from the tree lines, just basically shoulder charging into a bunch of them and then stopping right in front of Damakos. He takes his tree and slams with all his force. You see Damakos just phase on by him through the darkness and pop out behind. The Goliath basically just like takes a turn to like look underneath its leg in confusion as Damakos is by. As you're kind of focused in on the sight, you don't notice one coming from your side, and bursting through the trees on your right-hand side, another one comes. What do you wish to do?
I wish for you to unmute your microphone.
Is this a hill, by the way? Are we like running up a hill because we're going up this crevasse or whatever?
It's more of a slight embankment, not a full-on hill.
Okay, cool. Dang, I was gonna try and kick one down it with a fist of unbroken wind.
You could try to do that for sure. It's still like 5 feet down. They would fall into it. It's 50 foot wide, maybe 5 feet down.
What do I do? Okay. Let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to so these trees, do they have pretty good branches? Like are like the branches pretty sturdy and like accessible? Like are the trees clumped?
Some of them would be. If you were to grab onto like a rotted tree, you might just like fall through with your own weight.
Oh yeah, the trees are rotted, aren't they?
You also notice that this Goliath that's just about to swing at you is around head level. If it does manage to hit, Rupert would probably take a nice beating, which would probably interrupt his little snooze he's having on you. Probably not actually sleeping, but
yeah. So what I'll do, it thinks it's going to be capable of intercepting me.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a dash action to move 100 feet.
Okay.
And then I'm going to use a bonus action to use Step of the Wind to move another 100 feet. So 200 feet in one turn.
Nice. So you just like turbo it.
So like you see me like concentrate and close my eyes again. And it's like the air, so there's no drag now. Like the air in front of me just splits itself. So and then I like pushing it from behind me like turbo speed. Like the air is like pushing me from behind.
It swings at disadvantage and a 14. I'm assuming that's a miss.
Yeah, that'll miss.
All right, you just turbo speed out like the Roadrunner, a puff of wind behind you. You just start phasing, like just almost teleporting through these tree lines now at the speed that you're moving at. Annette, you're now up, and the one that tried to swing at Damakos is now rather annoyed that it didn't find a nice tasty snack, and it's eyeing you up. It looks like it's about to try again, swinging at you this time. What do you wish to do? Oh yeah, you're already. Nope. I forgot that you're like way up there. It looks at you and swings its tree in frustration.
You wow my food.
Randuin, you're basically just having a nice little rest. If you were to exert yourself too much, you probably would ruin that rest. But is there anything you'd like to do?
Oh, Rupert, what do you wish? Yes, please. Yes, I know they are strange. I will kill them if that's what you wish. No, you hear him babbling off to the great hamster in the sky, if you will.
Nice. So yeah, with the speed that you guys are moving at, the monks, it's pretty ridiculous. And with a net flying above the air, you just see the trees kind of like shaking, but they are in no way able to keep up with you guys. And what would take normally about an hour has taken much less time when you guys are moving at the speed of like a jet fucking fighter.
Monks, man.
Yeah,
monks.
You arrive to the site of the altar. The Goliath people are all anxiously waiting as you just like a hurricane moving. You appear And then suddenly all the trees, like a gust of wind, just kind of like surge behind you. This big gust of wind. You stop. These trees come flying above you guys, past you. You all just like stop.
I almost imagine Rupert's hair is like, since it's so wiry, it's like straight back. Like he's got like this like cone coming off the back of his head now.
Yeah.
His beard.
And like I turn and look at him and I see it and I'm like, that is why I have no hair. And turn and look back at the group.
All the tribes people are eagerly looking at you. Calgara sitting right in front of Nolan. You guys are in an awful hurry. Have you admitted defeat already and are anxious to sacrifice your lives?
You sick your dogs on us.
My dogs? What do you mean? I do not get this reference. What is a dog?
Bark, bark.
You're very friendly, and they have interrupted our search for these flowers and these herbs.
My tribesmen are right here.
Be saved. Blistering giants on the beach. Then are these not are these other blistering people on this island?
Those
Why
are
don't you
probably the infected people. I saw them in my dreams with the animals.
Yeah, once you say blistered, he kind of like hangs his head and he says, those, yes, they were part of my tribe, but they are fallen brothers. You see this curse that the All-Father has put upon us for disgracing him. My people, they become like this. They go mad. They go insane. They grow these blisters and they keep growing, causing immense pain. Almost all of my tribe is infected by this, and soon we will be lost unless we can get in the All-Father's favor again. Those men, although they are mine, are no longer of stable mind.
I will, reaching into my pack, pulling out these flowers, handing them to him, and say, well, I've retrieved some of these flowers that we can use to make some medicine.
And then Nolan would kind of step forth. The Calgara would point to sit him like back down, and he holds his hand up and says, Calgara, if you wish to save your people, you will let me and Damokos do this. Just a few moments, and I promise you, you will see the effects almost instantly. Bring us your sickest villager. I promise you, Calgara, I can save your people. You and Nolan go to work. You can give me a nature check at advantage, any monk that's proficient in herbalism, to basically, both of you can do this at advantage to see how much medicine you produce.
You said at advantage?
Yes.
Alright.
At advantage or with proficiency with the herbalism kick?
Both.
So
Case 17.
you said nature?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be +2, +4, so 23.
Nice. You both are able to basically pull out pedestals from your herbalism kits and go along the ritual of extracting the liquid from this mortar and pedestal. You start smashing through in the big bowl of this plant, and within moments you have an enormous amount of paste. These plants that you harvest were very healthy, and you were able to yield quite a fair amount. You would presume that even with these big Goliaths, you could easily cure or lather on this ointment 100 of them. Soon after, a Calgara returns with an old Goliath elder, and as you look on him, his skin has started to rot and blister, much like the Goliaths you just faced before, the insane ones infected, the plagued Goliaths. This guy looks like he's borderline ready to die. He says, if this medicine you speak of can cure, then try it on this man. This is my father. He is on his deathbed, too old to go insane, but nonetheless the plague does not play favoritisms. My father has been in agonizing pain as these blisters grow. If you can save him, then I will let you people be free. And as you apply the lotion onto him, Basically, these blisters within minutes actually start to subside almost magically. You would assume they start to sink in size. They dry up, and as he's rubbing it in, you actually notice that it starts to fade away. Kalgara looks absolutely shocked. And then with that, you can basically spend the next little while lotioning people up, rubbing down these big Goliath men and women with your
We should open a spa.
yeah. And
I
as
was
you
gonna say
do
just
so,
what I wanted to do.
yeah,
Rub down a bunch of scabby Goliaths.
this is the kind of adventure I like.
This is
to
the
run.
life, man. I love this adventure.
Yeah. And you guys go through your very nice massage parlor like routine for the next couple minutes. Calgary and the rest of the people would all actually start to join in and rub themselves down for those who don't want to get all up on that, aren't in the
They don't want to get up on the rub down train?
yeah. Nonetheless, after a few minutes pass, you notice that night is starting to get a little late now, and we're pretty close to night. Calgary comes to you. He actually walks up to all of you, and he says, "I'm sorry for what I have said to you. I was disrespectful. I insulted you. I attacked you. But you saved my village. You saved my tribe. I don't know if you speak truth of the Allfather being false, Nolan." And then he looks to you, Masatse, but he says, "But without you, nonetheless, my people would have inevitably died. I think the least I can do is show you, bring you a gift. Follow me," he says. And as he's about to lead you basically into what seems like a cave locked behind this crevasse, give me a perception check.
I have great news to tell you, friend, as I roll a perception check. I have learned the name of the Allfather.
The name of the... I know what he's going to say. He's going to say it's Rupert. Woolly Rupert.
What is the Allfather's name, Calgary says.
If you wish to receive his true blessing, you must call upon him. He is Woolly Rupert, the Tyrannohamstersaurus Rex of great ill omen.
And as this conversation is going on, Masatse, you actually notice, and Damakos notice that back in the ravine, again, a tide of water is flowing in. This one much bigger than before, much darker. It seems to be at least 60 feet long as it slips through the water and is coming up behind you guys as Calgara seems to be leading you off.
Oh, cool. I immediately alert Calgara, and I say, "It seems that your Allfather has sent another servant." And I kind of turn back towards the creature that's swimming into the room.
All right. And anybody else doing anything as he points that out?
I will show you that the true Allfather would not send a creature that can be defeated so easily. I am sent here on behalf of Woolly Rupert, the true Allfather. And when I defeat it, you will know my words are true.
All right. And as you guys all are basically ready yourself then at this point, bursting from the water is a creature that looks very similar to what you just fought, but instead of purple, it is a pale bluish gray. It has gills on the side of its face and long kind of string-like barbells for whiskers on its face. Again, this creature has 3 black eyes in a line going up its forehead. It has these long kind of blue dorsal fins, and as it bursts through the water, you see that it has almost like tentacle-like, I guess tentacles for like a body. And as it bursts through and comes to the surface, it lets out a growl. And you all recognize this, I guess, or maybe some of you do, some of you don't, as an aboleth. It speaks to you telepathically, all at the same time, and says, "Why have you come and taken my snacks, or my sacrifices away from me?" Snacks.
Yeah! Snacks! I look at this thing, and I feel like I've probably heard of things similar to this on the island I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
And I just simply start walking across the water towards it. And I say, your lies and heresy end here today, beast.
That's,
As does your life.
that's quite the subtle Ruparian slip in your words there.
Yeah. I have Rupert on the mind.
Dude, I like that it said snacks, though, actually. Because, like, I didn't think that fits, man. That's perfect.
So yeah, this giant obelisk creature comes, and you know that these creatures telepathically ensnare the minds of people and basically use their life force to empower itself. And it seems that this creature was somehow tricked these tribes into sacrificing people into it, believing that he was a god. It now bursts from the water and looks on you all. Everyone obviously roll initiative. And then after this, we will almost be done.
Snap, that one was terrible.
Yeah, I rolled even worse. Thank you.
But at least you have your spells.
All two of them.
I can run circles around this thing. Just
Warlocks
step
are dumb,
dash.
I don't like warlocks.
Can I create a whirlpool if I run around in a circle fast enough?
We'll have to see.
Absolutely amazing.
Well, I mean, if you could run 200 feet in 6 seconds, that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty fast. I don't know. That seems pretty
Okay,
fast.
so we have Damokos at a 16, one better. We have Annette at a much better 18. We have Randuin, who's at a 3 again.
He's
Very
still
nice.
napping.
And
Shut up!
then-
Yes, Rupert, yes, I'm ready. You want me to go first on the second turn, I understand.
First on the second turn.
acting first is Annette.
Wow, that's the first. You guys. Anyways.
Nice pun. That was awesome.
I know, very punny. It wasn't intentional even. That's how lame I am.
Man, that's sweet.
Swag.
Swag.
Kill me.
What the heck?
So I need to look at the spell real quick.
Please tell me you have whatever it's called, a crazy dance or something. The one spell you tried to use on my dragon.
Hideous or Melf's hideous laughter.
Something like irresistible dance.
Yeah, it's
I'd
like
suggest-
auto's irresistible dance or
This
something.
creature looks rather powerful.
Okay, so
Strike it down.
again, both of her blood's going to trickle from both sides of her eyes now as she's drawing more sorcery points. It has a disadvantage on a dexterity saving throw, and as she does it, she throws her arm out, and a bolt of lightning just arcs out. It's got to make a reflex save.
All right, and
Dexterity
there's disadvantage.
saving.
Disadvantage on that.
Disadvantage 17.
All right, let me do that. Turns out it's not a very dexterous creature, but we'll see how it fares. It definitely doesn't make it. You land point blank on it. What do we got for damage?
A lot of dice. Points of electric damage.
You guessed it. You was right.
All right, lightning
And
bolt
it would-
strikes across it, hitting it point blank in the face. Anything else?
Kind of standing there, kind of smoldering from her arm as the electricity just kind of arcs around her. As she did this, she actually she doesn't do anything. I can move 10 feet as a free action after I cast an electric spell, but I don't have a reason to move, so.
The creature then, before going on to Damokos, uses a legendary action, and you hear it telepathically speaking to you all at once, and it says, "Feed me, my people." And you'll notice that the kind of tribesmen all gathered around the side seem to be entranced. It seems like this creature has some kind of hold over them, and he'll actually use his legendary action to psychically drain their essence. And as he does so, he heals himself up some damage.
Oh, what a bastard.
And yeah, so you see that some of his smoldering wounds start to fade away. And he says, I will make you pay for taking my sacrifices. Damakos, you're now up.
That sucks.
This piece of crap.
This guy.
This guy.
Now that we're back, shadowy and in the cave, he's going to step into a shadow beside him and step out of right next to this hideous tentacle creature. And as he does so, his mask back over his face and begin to attack, pulling out his dagger, stabbing twice with his dagger.
All right, so do me a favor. As you go to stab him, make a quick Constitution save.
I just ran one of these against my group last week.
Oh, yeah?
That'll be a 12, so...
Yeah, so we'll let you do your attack first, but obviously, you know, I've kind of tweaked this thing a bit to make it a little stronger, but yeah, do your damage first.
Yeah, I'll hit the lowest one you see.
Okay, and what's the damage?
Do I have an ally within 5 feet? Oh, wait, no, never mind. I had shadow stepping anyway, so... It just affects my sneak damage.
Gotcha.
$27 points of bludgeoning.
Very nice.
And I'm doing... That was piercing because it was with the dagger.
Sounds good. You're kind of cutting out on me a bit, but I was able to mostly catch that. All right. So as you do a slam into this thing with your strikes, you fail your con save, and as soon as you touch it, you notice that it's covered in a mucus. And as you do slam into it, you also notice that your skin starts to, eerily enough, take on a presence that the Goliaths have. It becomes instantly apparent as you slam into this thing that through this creature being in the water, it has infected the trees that kind of use its water for nourishment and has passed the infection onto it. As you slam into this thing, this plague has almost instantly spread onto you. Your arms start to blister up.
Oh, fuck.
Touching it seemed like a bad time. Masatse, you're now up. Actually, it does a tail attack on you. I almost forgot as a legendary action, Damakos. So
I never knew about legendary actions. This is pretty cool. I've never fought anything that had legendary actions yet, so this is pretty cool.
yeah, I basically can do them off turn, and it only has so many.
I like it. It's pretty sweet. It gives them more of an advantage. It gives you more flexibility, too, to make them fuck shit up.
So 27 to hit is obviously a hit.
That amply hits.
27.
And you take 12 bludgeoning damage as this tail, one of its tentacles, whip into you. Next up is the creature itself. It is going to, as you're the only one in ring, or trying to think. Yes, it will attack you 3 times, just trying to focus you down. I'll just tell you all my attacks, and then we'll go from there. What's your AC? It's a 19. Only one gets through, actually, luckily enough. You're able to dash through this way and that way. It takes...
I'm over here in wax offing tentacles.
14 bludgeoning damage as it slams into you. And then
Ouch.
it will require you, Damakos, to make a wisdom save.
It looks like a fail. It's an 8.
Okay, so 8th, then you take an additional. Oh no, you're just further diseased. So yeah, at the end of your turn, roll a d12. I forgot to do that for you being diseased. And you take that much more damage as you are diseased by this creature. Randuin, you're now up.
What about Masate?
Yeah, did I somehow miss you? I did.
Yeah, I got 14 initiative.
That's why I was wondering. Like, I'm like, Masatse should have acted by now, but for some reason.
So let me see. Let me hurry and read this real quickly just to make sure that I know how it works. I'm pretty sure that it's just a bonus action, but I want to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I will kind of, if I can find it. Okay. Okay, so I just have to break the gem. So would you count that as a bonus action?
What are we trying to do here?
It's that one of my magical items, the gem.
Oh, sure.
Or would you count it as part of my movement?
I'll count it as a free action.
Okay.
Anyone better.
So, Masatse, kind of looking at this thing, he starts to speak in this strange tongue. If anyone speaks Primordial, you would understand him. And he's basically calling to the elements, calling to them to come to him. And I'm just flavoring this. I'm using a magical item. But he reaches down and puts his hand lightly into the water. And as his hand comes up, it's holding a face. And he pulls a water elemental out of the water to aid him in this fight. And he looks at it and he speaks a vow to it, like, me to you, you to me. And he rushes out across the water towards this aboleth. So basically, I broke an elemental gem to summon a water elemental.
Okay.
So it's going to help us in the fight now. It's basically, do you want me to roll initiative? It just goes to the end of the turn. Sure, we'll do
I'm just going to say it goes after you.
Okay. So I rush across the water towards this thing. And as I'm going, I pull out my sword, my short sword off my back. And these runes are kind of etching down from my eyes from this V-shaped thing on my forehead. And they kind of come down across my eyes and across my body, scribing these strange ancient runes across me. And as I rush this thing, for my attack, I'm going to use Fist of Unbroken Air. So that's an attack for me. A 18.
Definitely a hit.
It hits? Okay. So now it needs to make a strength save.
Gotcha. Crit.
It crits? Okay, cool.
Yep.
So it succeeds then, most definitely. But it'll still take 24 points of damage. It's not knocked prone. It's not pushed away. But it'll take full 24. And with my bonus action, then I take my sword off my back and I plunge it into one of its eyes in the center of its forehead.
Nice.
And I'm going to use my last lucky to reroll that. Okay, 17.
17 is just a hit.
Okay. So it does 1d6. So that'll be another 8 damage.
Nice.
And then my water elemental. You said you wanted to go at the very end or on my turn?
Just basically after your turn ends, you can use it.
Okay. So I'll have my elemental rush it then also.
Sounds good.
So it kind of dips back into the water, and you see this roiling wave just kind of come up out of the water and slam into the side of it, almost forming this giant water fist. And it'll make 2 slam attacks. 19 and 14.
14 doesn't hit. 17 is your mark.
Okay, cool. So that'll do a total of another 12 damage.
Okay. Yeah, you and your water elemental and kind of synchronicity start slamming into this creature. Now that you've actually hit it yourself, though, give me a con save also.
So I'm a level 10 monk. I'm immune to disease and poison.
Oh, interesting. So that means that also Demakos is...
No, he's not a level 10 monk. He's multi-classed.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, you're fine then. Luckily for you, this mucus substance doesn't have any effect on you like it seems to be having on Demakos right now.
I almost imagine it tries to like get on my fist, but these runes kind of like burn it off of me.
And it's going to use a legendary action to tail slam you, and then Randuin's going to be up.
Ouch. Okay, go ahead.
What is wrong with this character's spell card right now? 23 to hit.
No, that misses. No, that hits.
And then 9 bludgeoning damage as I roll a bunch of ones.
All right, cool.
Randuin, you're now up.
Yeah, Randuin looks, his eyes narrowing as he focuses his attention on this creature. He kind of mutters underneath his breath, "Really, Rupert, this pretender wishes to steal your strength away. Show him your true strength." And you see this dark aura begin to choke this aboleth as it finds that its strength is reduced greatly, only to find Randuin's attacking twice with Hex on this creature.
Cool. So disadvantage on strength then?
Strength checks. Yes.
Gotcha.
Not a big deal yet. Well, I think the first one's a miss. 15's a miss. The second one is 26.
That's a hit.
Alright, that'll be... That's a pretty good roll. 10... That's 20 damage from the one strike.
Nice.
He crashes it into this creature. And as he does so, you see him reach for one of the hand axes on his belt. And that'll end his turn. So he pulls out the one hand axe, holding his warmaul in one hand, just not kind of leaving on the ground, his axe in the other.
Very nice. And as you finish that surplus of attacks, you see this creature start to telepathically drain the essence of more of the tribesmen that are enslaved by it, and it heals a decent enough amount. As the attack finishes blowing, you see that the essence kind of seep into it, and then the wounds that you just dealt kind of start to close shut. Annette is now up.
How far away is it from me?
Maybe like 20 feet.
Okay, I'm going to fly up to it and 24 to hit.
Definitely does. Are you hitting it melee?
No.
Okay.
It's now wreathing and twitching with electric as I hit it with Shocking Grasp. It cannot do... it takes 11 points of electric damage, and it can't take reactions to the end of its next turn.
Can't take a reaction?
So it's just like twitching as I'm
Gotcha.
like smashing it in the face with electricity.
All right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but a legendary action is not a reaction, right?
No, it's not.
Actually, it
It's at
doesn't
the
matter.
end. It's at the end of our turn.
Doesn't matter anyways. Demakos, you are now up as Annette flies up and shocks this creature. It momentarily stops him from acting quickly.
Awesome. I take my dagger, stab him another 2 times, and I'm going to do them individually because I want to do stuff with each one.
All right.
17 to hit.
All right. That is a hit.
All right, and I've got an ally within 5 now.
Yes, you do.
17 piercing with the sneak attack, and
Nice.
he can give me a Constitution save for a stunning strike.
Oh, God. Here it goes. This is where the encounter ripperonis. Come on, Aboleth. Oh. It doesn't make it.
Nice.
What's
With
that?
advan-
Sorry, you cut out on me.
So with the unconscious, let me see. All attack rolls against him will have advantage for.
Oh, I've got advantage on all my attacks now against him because he's stunned.
Yeah.
Woo!
Everybody does.
Woo!
Feels bad, man.
Oh,
You jump forth and you punch into this thing. Take another 12 damage and make me another con save as this disease starts to further itself on you.
damage from. You said 12 as well.
Yeah, take a D12.
Oh, sorry, I thought I heard. My mistake. And then with my bonus action, flurry of blows him and swing 2 more times.
Gotcha.
And both of those are a 25 and a 22.
Both are definitely hits.
That'll be a 19 more points with my fist this time.
All right, and you guys are starting to beat this thing up pretty hoarsely, to say the least.
I swim away
Twinkle
and
around.
back on.
I swim
land.
away.
Yeah, it can't take a reaction, so there's nothing it can do. So yeah, I thought your turn was over, so that's why I made you take the D12 damage. My bad. Did you make your con save though?
Diseased. I have to make another one.
Yeah,
This time it's
what was it? Sorry.
It's an 18.
18 is enough to you use your constitution to not. You just basically focus, and the disease doesn't spread any worse. So you're still just taking the damage at this point. Masatse is now up.
Okay. So advantage.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So I'm definitely gonna use flurry of blows this turn because I have advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be, I get 3 attacks. So 19, 23, and a nat 20. And then I have an attack with my sword, also my short sword, which is a 18. And then my water elemental has 2 attacks, which is 27 and 27. So everything's gonna hit basically.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So what do you do for crits?
Just do your regular as raw, so double your dice.
So double my dice. Okay. So
Yeah.
for my my first 2 fist attacks are going to be 13 total. For my crit, I do 12. So that's 26 so far. With my short sword, I do so another 8, so 32. And then my water elemental does another not 30, another 27.
So a lot of damage in total. Did you math that out, or?
Yeah, so it was 42 plus 27, 69.
All right. So, sadly, describe what that looks like as you and your water elemental
Do we kill it?
this thing and finish it off.
So I'm just gonna flavor it as one simple thing. I pull my short sword out of its head, and the water elemental flows in the hole, and its body starts to swell. And I reach forward and put my hand inside of the hole, and the body freezes completely. And then I pull my hand out, and my fist starts to glow, and I slam my fist into its head, and it shatters into a million pieces.
Nice. The tribesmen, as you do this, all drop to their knees. It seems like their bond with this creature, this enslavement over them, has dispersed as you absolutely fucking slaughter the poor innocent Aboleth that instantly has been shattered into a million pieces. Calgara and the tribespeople are in complete and utter surprise as they see this hideous creature and what they were doing. It was giving the facade that it was this ancient kind of snake, a servant of the Allfather, but in reality it was this hideous creature from a plane that they probably do not know exists, but a dark energy, an old ancient evil at that. They thank you, and then with the formalities kind of gone through, and again them understanding what you have done to them, they walk you through this cave and bring you basically a couple of feet down into this naturally made kind of stairway. And as you open up, underground is this massive city, ancient ruins, all kind of covered in vines and moss and whatnot, but a very impressive city nonetheless. Calgara tells you that it is a city of his ancient kind of people they protect this. And as you look, you see in the center of the city, built underground, an enormous bell, the size easily like 80 feet by 80 feet. It is an absolute massive bell in the center of the city, completely golden. He tells you that it was said by his ancients that to ring this bell would give any man a single wish, but for centuries it hasn't worked. He feels like this creature was probably to do with that. It separated their bond between the Allfather. They've been ringing it day in and day out to try to get in contact with the Allfather, but had no success. They asked each of you if you would do the honors in doing so.
Of course.
Seeing if they have connection to the Allfather.
I will contact the Allfather.
Randuin steps up first to do it.
I ring the bell as I call forth to the Allfather.
The echoing ring echoes through this cave and around the soundings, the exact same bell that you heard before, completely blanking out sound as it is. All you hear is this bellowing that goes on forever. As you look up, you see a great light has basically filled this cavern now, pretty much blinding to the eye. You hear an ominous voice welcome you, claiming to be the Allfather. He says that he will grant any one wish to you.
Alright.
And it's basically a wish spell that you get.
Yes, I wish to become closer, to gain more of the power of your lordship, Woolly Rupert.
And he grants your wish, and you so much become more powerful by Woolly Rupert that parts of your body start to transform. Your mouth indeed actually looks like a miniature version of Rupert's mouth himself. Your hideously tormented power exhumes from you.
Yes, soon I shall become his avatar, and the world shall know of his true power.
A tail does grow on him.
Yeah,
He grows a little bit in
awesome.
size. Next up, he looks to another one of you. Do any others have a wish they wish granted? Damokos. He actually knows your name because he's omnipotent and a sick-ass god.
If nobody else moves forward, Masatse would walk forward.
What can I do for you, child?
And he says, I know not what happened to him, but give me back Abaru, which is his brother.
Absolutely. And as he grants this wish, it's easily within his power. Abaru appears in front of you, completely shocked. He doesn't understand how he's alive. He came to this island and was swallowed up in the storm himself, foolish enough to underestimate its powers. He came in the basically heart of the storm and was washed away and killed, brought back to life by you, his brother. You found the lost soul that you were seeking for. He embraces you, your brother.
I think at this point, actually, like Masatse is like in tears. Like he hasn't seen his brother in years. And maybe it'd be like a bit weird for all of you guys because Masatse's always been like really stern and stoic. But yeah, he's just crying like nothing. And he just holds his brother.
Are you going to thank Woolly Rupert for bringing back your brother?
I don't even look at him. I just look at the Allfather, whatever, and I look at him.
That's his name, Woolly Rupert.
And I speak to him in Primordial, and I do the respectful bow to him as well. And I lead Abaru away to a place where he can sit. I almost imagine he's pretty frail after being brought back from the dead.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And the Allfather thanks you for reconnecting him with his people. Next up, he looks to Damokos. Is there any wish you desire?
Damokos. Does a respectful head nod, creature or deity, powerful being, whatever he is, and holds up his empty scabbard and says, knowledge why I was left at on this plane, more or less, which is probably a lot to throw on you right this particular second. As you can guess, this is a reoccurring character.
Oh God.
But yeah.
And you're just asking for
He
pure
would see.
knowledge of why you were left at the orphanage.
His heavily accented, his heavily abyssal accent was his first language, kind of breaking out and whatnot. And he's here while he was appearing as a child by Ilmater monks.
And
yeah, he's looking for his family, any relations. The only object that he had was that he had the that no stride has been able to fit inside of it.
so he instantly fills that scabbard with a magical sword that fits it perfectly. He bestows upon you the knowledge of your, I guess, infernal parents, I'm understanding, perhaps, and tells you that they are not on this plane. You were sent here as a challenge to be amongst these people and see if you could live with them and not necessarily be an evil entity that just kills for the sake of it. They tells you that you can definitely seek your parents out on a different plane, and that he tells you which one that is. I'll leave that to you to decide. The sword obviously is heavily magical and immense with power. It essentially, since you seek knowledge, gives you the equivalent of a headband of intelligence. While you carry the sword, you have an intelligence of 20, and basically you're just flooded with an immense amount of knowledge, not only the whereabouts of your parents, why you were brought here, but many other things you come to understand almost instantly as your body is, or your mind is filled with all these thoughts.
Awesome.
Second last but not least, Annette.
She's still kind of floating, and she'll look down like she's been pondering this really hard, what she's been wanting, and she's finally decided that raised me to be brought back to life. And she'll hold up her hand. Was?
Absolutely.
She nods.
The man that you seek to be revived is in front of you exactly as you remember him. Confused as to how he's alive.
Because his last memories were hanging from a short hook from the gallows. He was hung to death. So he's like, it's a very elderly man, but he is a wizard dressed in kind of overly eccentric clothing. Like he has like gaudy rings, and he has like his hair's been long braided beard, silks, fabrics, all sorts of anything that money can buy is basically on this person. And he's just really like looking around.
Nice. Last but not least, he looks to Nolan. Nolan, is there anything that you desire in this world? I can make it yours. Nolan looks to the All-Father and he says, "Oh, great All-Father, meeting you, meeting these people is all I could ever ask for. I have everything I need in life. I get to do what I love. I get to travel to places and meet people, help people, see things that most men can never claim to see. I could not ask for any material good. The only thing I ask for is safe passage off this island so I can share the tale of the great tribe and the warrior leader, Calgara, and tell them all of this amazing island that we have just ventured." With that, the All-Father says he'll make it done. Your voyage will be safe through the storm. And with that, you guys have successfully explored the cursed island of Phandora.
Awesome.
As we exit the cave,